start, if Mike can join us, he can join us.
Okay, I'll kick it off like we did before. Molly will touch on the guiding principles, but since everyone has seen this, does anyone want to go through the whole thing, or do you want to just comment on your feedback?
Well, look, Gordy wasn't here
So we
last
go
time.
through
I suggest we go through it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to kick it off, and then Molly will talk about our guiding principles, and then Brian will talk about how it's going to manifest in the
Yeah,
So-
I thought the best thing to do to crush your test to see if these things are what we want is to try them, see if it works for starting to think about 2026 goals.
Yep.
Can I ask a real quick question?
Yeah.
Were there changes? It looks like there was changed a
We
little bit since last time.
Yeah.
declared judgment
Yeah.
on what you had said,
Sure.
that was excellent.
It looked
And
like
then
it.
Michael had some feedback that we got as a sub-team, and Molly and Ryan met with Ryan, and we took his feedback. So it's more tweaky feedback,
Yeah.
we looked at it quickly, but I do want to make sure.
There's one statement at the end that we want to touch upon, because maybe now all.
Okay, so today we want to revisit the mission and the vision of the city, because that's our whole reason for being here. That's not something we created, we just put a lot into that. It's our work as we support the council. We want to propose the revised document based on the commissioner input we had in September. We're going to clarify our role a little bit and propose a working future plan. So success really is that, let us go through it first, and if you have feedback, so we get to the end. Don't not give us feedback, let's kind of get the storyline done. And really, success really is that you embrace it and you see how it's going to work for us to make us a better commission. And if you have questions or whatever, we want to hear those, because if this is going to be successful, people have to see how it's going to work as we are a team. Okay, so the next page is, we did the first session we talked about. Today is the 7th. Our goal is to vote to accept the document at the November actual park commission meeting. And then we're going to try to get to the city council, depending on the agenda, and talking to Joe, knowing there's a lot of things coming. If we get bumped even to January, I don't think it's a disaster, and it's not an emergency thing with the council. It's more about, like, are you aligned with our thinking? Here's where we're going forward, and then we'll talk about our goals. So we'll get out there when we can, based on whatever else is important. And then we're going to work on our goals, which we'll talk about a little bit today. Brian will, and then we'll finalize them for 26. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mike.
So in coming up with what we're calling the guiding principles, we looked at the mission and the vision for the city of Orono. We initially wrote our own, but then realized it was a bit redundant and just went back to the mission and vision for the city of Orono. Since we met last time, we have the words or the phrases that are in red in the mission and vision are where we're saying these are where we feel that our guiding principles are really going to get pulled out of the mission and vision. So these are what we feel is relevant to the work that we do. So I'll just read these, and then the next page will explain how these relate back to our guiding principles. So, the City of Orono will provide effective guidance for public policy established from citizen involvement by empowering staff to implement best practices and prepare Orono for any challenges of the future, and by ensuring a positive customer experience, superior municipal services, and provide a safe community for the residents, businesses, and customers to live, work, and play. The vision for the City of Orono is to be the residential community of choice and remain widely recognized for the preservation of natural beauty, quality of life, and the recreational assets. And I think worth noting is that there may be a day when these statements are revised, and when they are, we'll kind of revise. But this is where the council is at now. This is where we're at now, and so we're going to be drafting on this.
Oh, you can go back.
What?
Oh, you can go back.
next page, and we didn't have it organized this way, and I think it makes it a little easier to, pull one from the other, but those words in the mission and vision, we highlighted, and then underneath each one of these phrases, we put together, what we're calling guiding principles. And we've had a lot of discussion about the what and the how. We've had a lot of discussion around how are these going to be used, and I think at their essence, they're going to help guide us in making decisions. They're not making decisions for us, but they will help guide us in setting our goals, in creating our standards,
Considering ideas that come to us.
considering ideas that come in from residents, in speaking to the council. They will help us articulate the whys for the decisions that we're making. Okay, so effective guidance. And I think in almost every one of these statements, we got great feedback from Michael and the session that we were in a few weeks ago, and we've tried to incorporate that feedback into these new statements. So almost all of these statements are just a little bit different. We've added some from Michael as well. So I will read through these and try to explain, and maybe some Brian and Kim chime in. Effective guidance. Maintain safe, accessible, and high quality of standards for our parks. Invest in, protect, and take care of what we have today. There's been quite a bit of dialogue around this statement, and I think important to note here is that this doesn't mean that we won't consider, in fact, we're highly interested in acquiring more land for our parks in Orono, but first and foremost, we want to make sure that what we have today is taken care of, that meets the needs of our residents. If we need more ballparks, and we have a way to do that and still live within this framework, we'll make those considerations. But what we have today is really going to continue to be and always be a priority for us.
I think it recognizes that there's lots of opportunity in our existing parks.
There's a ton of opportunity in our existing parks. Ground our decisions using.
I don't, we had some discussion around that, I can't remember.
It was just the good data, it was accurate data.
Oh, right.
Ground our decisions using good judgment, employing accurate data, and robust discussion. So when we bring work to, or projects or any kind of ideas to the city council, they should feel confident that what we are bringing them has been grounded in these things.
And we want to act like this as a commission. So if we have like a discussion on the park, if there's a pre-reader or something, we want to all read it and come with insight so we can have that robust discussion as a commission. And then I know there's always going to be challenges on get data, but we're always trying to do the best data we can with what we know. And if we really need data, we need to find some data.
Citizen involvement. Endeavor to bring our citizens together to facilitate connections, well-being, understanding, diversity, and peace. I think we know that our parks are a way to bring people together and create community, and believe that this is a really important way for us to make sure that we are building a system, maintaining a system that our citizens. The parks reflect the diversity of Orono citizens' needs. So Orono has a diverse constituency, and we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of the citizens within our city. Challenges of the future. And this statement is a bit loaded, and I think as we get further and further into this kind of thinking, we'll have more language to use that describes the thought here, but have a future-focused plan and then incorporates sustainability. So that just means that and sustainability is one of those words that can have a lot of different meanings, but that we're going to look towards planning parks that that feed into using materials that are sustainably sourced.
Yeah, there's many aspects to it, and we'll also get a good cue from the council, because they're starting their sustainability
This is already.
journey, and so we were just like, yeah, it's connected to that. And so as they decide different directions or scopes of work, we want to be around the sector.
Residential community of choice, that we're gonna plan for the short and the long term. So kind of back to protecting and taking care of what we have today. We're gonna be on that journey, but we're also going to be looking to the future, and the future needs that our community has for how we want to and what our parks, how our parks are going to service the needs of our community. Serve the needs of our residents and communities' active sports. So Brian was talking about you know, if we've got kids in Orono who are practicing, baseball at 9 o'clock at night in Maple Grove, and we have an opportunity to help our citizens stay here and be active in their sport, and we have the space and all the things fall into place. We want to hear those voices, and we want to make sure that we're supporting the needs of the community as it relates to active sports. It doesn't mean we're always going to be able to say yes, but we absolutely want to make sure that, again, and that really does, speak to residential community of choice. People move here for a certain reason, and we want to make sure that those reasons are met. Widely recognized for the preservation of natural beauty, quality of life, and natural assets. And this, in all transparency, is the one phrase that is a little polarizing. So we'd love to have some discussion about this, and I'll talk about my perspective and maybe some of the YouTube and chime in as well. But balanced decisions that impact Orono's natural rural footprint when considering the addition of parks and sports fields development. From my perspective, it's important to have this in here, because once you develop a space, once you leveled out that whole field, you can't get it back. And so it doesn't say we're not going to have hardscape. It doesn't say we're not going to have sports fields. It's just going to say we're going to really think about it, because our city is about natural beauty. People move here because of the natural beauty that this community provides. And so there may be a better way of articulating this, because this is a statement that's off-putting, But I personally feel that it's important to kind of go out there and say, we're gonna put a stake in the ground and talk about this, not just kind of hide it under the rug.
Yeah, and I would say,
Sorry. Oh, Councilman.
oh, yeah, I just think what we wanna say here is we're not like at the disposal of the school for their sports needs. We can do things with them that make sense, but we're not the go-to for them for sports fields. And we wanna balance that with what we have here, such beautiful areas to protect. But if we need something, we will look at it, it's just not like a direct line to say, oh, we need another baseball field, let's figure out what park. But then we would not do that, we would say, we need data to show why, why is this a request coming to the park commission, and what can you support it?
Do you think it can be widely recognized or not be widely recognized and still preserve natural beauty? What's the recognition have to do with it?
I think, I actually love that statement that came out of, vision, because that sets a bar. People talk about the parks in Orono when they're widely recognized. People talk about the parks in Minnetonka, they don't talk about the parks in Orono. So I think that, if
It looks like you're,
I know,
I've
and
never
I
heard
love
anyone
that,
talk
I
about
know,
Minnetonka. First of all.
and I also said I didn't say a nice thing about it, of course.
So we can't be widely recognized and then not have those.
Right, well, yeah.
Competing.
I think what we're saying is, part of the vision is to be widely recognized as a preservation of natural beauty, quality of life, and the parks will show up to help support that vision of the city. We're not, those are not our words, those come out of the vision, and we're saying,
Yeah,
here's how the parks can help the vision be met.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, is the bigger font ones here, those are city council's words. Except that, the city council actually says natural beauty, quality of life, and recreational assets. So we got that one word wrong.
yeah, I'm uncomfortable with setting up being recognized as the target. When the target is the recognition, the target is preservation of natural beauty and the quality of life and natural assets.
Be the best version you can be, and then whatever
Yeah,
happens.
that it follows, yeah.
Don't seek the recognition.
Right.
The thing I noticed here too is, the balanced decisions with natural resources and sports actually kind of, to me, puts sports and natural resources on a fairly somewhat level playing field, where I think sports is definitely something we'd like to facilitate where we can. But I agree that Orono, what makes it so special is we have some of the best natural resources you can have, certainly in the metro region, with our lakes and trails and whatnot. So where sports fits in, I think that's great. But I think that balanced decisions kind of, in a way, puts sports on a somewhat equal playing field.
And arts.
And ours, yeah. So, for consideration.
Yeah, some of the talk we had around this was just because it conflicted with the statement before it about how serving the needs of our residents when it comes to active sports. And so it seemed contradictory, and that's why I think we added the word balance.
Yeah, we have prioritize, and then, natural footprint, well, we're adding hardscape, and then, changed it to consider in addition of hardscape, so,
Yeah, it just one, Kim, you mentioned about the school sports. Just so you know, most of the sports that are using our fields are not school sports. They're club
Yeah, I didn't
sports.
think, I'm just thinking sports, like party sports, they're just sports, like clubs and things like
Yeah,
that. I don't want
it's
us
just-
to have the reputation to, oh, or go to a field.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure you,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I
you
didn't
know,
mean,
lacrosse does not have their own field.
yeah,
You know, they have to use either the
Yeah.
school or the city's fields.
yeah.
I think I have a couple comments, and I'm wondering why, if this shouldn't be driven by a citizen survey first, because we haven't had one for so many years. So these principles and whatnot might be dictated by what residents want and have to say, because it's their property. You know, and the other thing that, I think you guys did a lot of hard work on this. You spent, I don't know how many months, and it's great. And I've got a lot of good things to say about it, but I'm just wondering, so much of this is already covered in Part 4E of the comp plan. And within that, it talks about open spaces, intro, it has action plans, goals, and whatnot. And I'm wondering if, as we come into this next year, we're gonna start working on that, right, Joe?
This is a great place to start.
Oh, and this is where you're
This
starting?
is the start,
Okay.
yeah.
I did not know that. I
But
didn't hear that
you brought a
before.
good point. We did spend a lot of time on it, but we probably should have gone back and looked to see what the comp plan,
The comp plan
current
is
camp
just
plan
amazing.
says.
It's a little outdated, like in terms of, I liked all your things about annual reviews on the park, as you get further into the document, and the park standards, which the council is adding, and, master plans, long-term, I think we definitely had those in the past, and they kind of sit on the CIP, and then the park commission changes, and they,
And I think this shouldn't come back, the CIP, this should just like bring it to life, because, I looked at it, and it was kind of overwhelming when I first started, maybe I should spend
the
more time.
CIP, you mean?
Yeah, and I guess, sorry, the comp plan, right.
Oh,
I'm just not gonna be a word person, I'm using the wrong words. I think this to me is like a more digestible way to start as a new.
I had no idea this was like a preliminary draft for the comp plan.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not a preliminary draft,
Oh.
it's like
It's work
A
that will
miniature-
then,
this will contribute to
Yeah, this is like
once we
a
get to
concept that you
Good to
sort of
know.
saw and will evolve as the vision and mission evolve, but everything should align that we put in the comp plan with what you're saying.
Okay.
And you're saying.
But I
it's already-
think there's a big step missing, and that is citizen input. Resident input should be before we sit here and make decisions about what we think the residents want.
Or
I would
what
say-
should have been already, I think.
Yeah, I
You
would
guys are out in the
say that would be
public.
a good add in the future, but to get us going now, we wanna actually kind of operate this, because I wanna work together. I think we should do a survey, and maybe we'll be smarter about the survey if we spend a little time working with this.
Well, I think, yeah, the survey should be up.
And what the survey really actually should be focused on is the mission and vision. The citizens wouldn't write these, but they should
No,
respond to
right.
the vision and mission.
But
And
what we
that's not
haven't had
changing.
since when? When was our last survey? Do you remember, Elisa?
I'm sorry, what was the
Two
question?
thousand eight, we haven't asked the citizens.
For a third
what-
party? That was a
What
third
they
party.
want, and it could drive our
are you
principles.
talking about park specifically?
Yeah, parks specifically.
There's been
I
a couple small ones over
Yeah, they
time,
were done.
but probably the last comprehensive one may have been all the way.
I think that's a good point to consider for a goal next year, and work with the council on how to do that.
Yeah,
There's
That's a
different
big deal.
ways to do it.
And we could get ahead of ourselves if we take action before we.
Great.
do the goals.
Yeah, let's-
And
Let's
that
think
would
about that when we
be-
talk
that
about our
would
goals.
be- Could that be part of the annual assessment, or do we just do that, how many every year?
10 years, I think, is.
I think it'd be broader than the annual assessment.
The comp.
That's informative.
Not the annual assessment
Yeah, never mind.
is every year.
Yeah.
The comp
This would
plan is
be-
every 10 years. Yeah.
Can I ask you another question? Then the annual assessment, is that aligned with the focus document?
What's
That
the
you got,
focus?
the focus when we chose our parks and we got park assignments, then there's the focus document that was with that.
Not necessarily, I don't think the standards are gonna align with that.
No, but
The
when
annual
you
review,
talk
sorry.
about the annual review, is that gonna be like the focus document? I think everybody's calling things different names.
Yeah, I think the focus document is we all have parks that we sort of softly adopted to keep an eye on. But that doesn't mean that the parks I've got signed up for are the ones I'm gonna review.
No, but that's not what the focus document is. The
Oh.
focus document is the one that, that has like the trail that's not done over by North Arm or West Arm or whatever that is from the golf course development. You know, the one that lists all the projects that are still,
For the CIP.
The goals, are you talking about the goals that we had on that?
you approved
Our
it before
goals?
we all got on the
Oh, the
commission.
annual goals.
Our goals, yeah, 20,
Is that
But I
26.
thought it said it was focused on the top, that's what it was.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's semantics, but I think we should all be using the same language, so you know. So those items that are on there, is that the annual review then, is what I'm asking.
No,
Do you
no.
have that document, Joe, that here?
Well, you have the goals that we're gonna talk about later,
Those are the
right?
goals, the annual assessment would be,
Similar
a,
to,
a repeatable, process that we went through this summer to look at all the parks and check in and see where we're at. So we would do that on an annual basis.
So it could be a line item on the
I'm
goals.
probably not saying this clear enough, but we're probably talking about the same thing. But in here, it talks about,
Well, let's get there, let's
yeah,
get
we
there.
can get there, the
Yes,
annual
yeah.
review process.
I think, let's get there because I think we're gonna be on the same page, it's just
Okay.
that we,
Yeah, I think we're on the same
Yeah.
page, I'm just asking questions.
yeah.
yeah, and we'll talk about the survey then later too, when we talk about the
Okay.
goals.
I think the reviews will lead into the larger goals. They can.
Inform, yeah, be an input. All right, so any more,
Oh, yeah. Are you good with this, Michael?
Yeah, I'm just a comment, I'm just one voice.
Yeah, when you guys talked about diversity in the city, do we even know what that is? I mean, what specifically, like age-wise or
Age,
interest?
any-
See, a survey would cover that.
Depending what survey. Surveys can be very flawed.
Well, I think we should have an independent third-party survey. for
Then
that.
you have to start talking about,
Yeah,
and I know you guys voiced your concerns about spending money on certain things, because that's money that's gonna take away from the parks. So it's something to consider.
When I think about this statement about our parks reflect the diversity, to me, it's less about the diversity of people, and it's more about the diversity of how people use parks.
okay, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
But we could definitely get clarification on that with the road.
It's diversity of Orono citizen needs. It's not diversity of Orono citizens. So it's, maybe we need to reword that. Diversity of the needs of Orono citizens. Maybe that's a better way to state it.
I think it's pretty good where you got it.
Well, one, you know, they're kind of related.
Yeah.
The needs for the parks are related to whatever the demographics of the people.
Yes, right.
So they walk hand in hand.
Yeah.
So whichever one you want to put first is fine for me. But there is diversity out there in the people, and that creates the diversity in the need and how they use the parks.
Yeah.
Because people use them differently.
Yeah.
Gordy, any thoughts? I don't know what you're saying.
No, just,
I still would maybe think with the balance of sports and natural resources, I think if we're having a bit of a trend towards natural resource, which I'd support, that might open up things a little more than
Yeah,
we might care to, but
I think to make this more usable, I think that we could get alignment among us on what that balance looks like. The balance doesn't necessarily mean 50-50.
What would your reaction be, I'm asking everybody, if it says prioritize decisions that impact,
we had prioritized and then yeah, and it could be that we haven't struck the right.
So if we said prioritize the decisions, to your point, Jacob, to say we want to put the natural beauty and think about sports.
No, he's going the other way.
No, I'm going with the natural beauty.
No,
Oh, are you? I thought you were,
No, I'd be a little concerned, you know, my favorite example, which I won't bring up, but, you know, to prioritize some of the natural beauty and then allow for the sports to fit. And that's kind of where the good judgment comes in, saying, you know, this works here, but maybe it doesn't work so good over here. And data can be interpreted in
So what if
different
we
ways.
said prioritize decisions that impact, the word's not quite right, but basically say prioritize our natural beauty while we consider, sporting needs. What do you think of that? Is that too?
it is for me.
I like balance over priority.
Yeah, me too.
You like balance?
Are there changes that could be expanded to add more sports fields at this time?
There is no planning for any of that.
But I mean,
What's the question? Could there be one? I mean, like, we've talked about adding soccer at like Crystal Bay in the open space there for young kids or whatever. That's really the only thing that I can think of that we've talked about.
So maybe that's not
But I mean-
really important to,
Well, I mean, I think
maybe it says
that
activities instead of sports.
what we're trying to do is create some statements that will be here around for a while and maybe outlast us or this commission. Most of us on the commission, you know, so.
And I do think currently we're a very sport-centric society. I play sports, kids play sports. But, you know, I kind of lean more towards natural resources and want things for sports. But if we're trying to protect our natural resources, anytime you level up, give a parking lot, a hardscape, whatever, you don't get that resource back. So that's where.
So I think some of us
That's why I
are
bring it up.
trying to lean toward, and some of us like the balance. What do we do? Do you want to vote or do you want to leave it as
I don't think we
balance?
can vote tonight on it. But I think.
Keep grabbing.
Yeah. Well, I guess I prefer prioritizing, those are initial words, but we did get feedback to balance it, so are we saying we're good with it now, or do we
Well,
want
let's-
to talk about it more?
You know, we adopt these next meeting,
Yeah.
so we should have our discussion now and then maybe have two versions and just vote on it next meeting.
This is a guiding document for you. It's not a law. It's not saying
I think we'll put it in a.
you
in a
have to do
tablet.
this in every example. It's just saying we have
Well,
like a
well-
balance of more natural over,
Well-
that's fine, but
If it's not properly worded, then you'll get an organization, and I like pickleball, I don't play it, it seems fun, I like it. We wanna find a good spot for it, but we wanna make sure, we don't want to have an organization that says, you say right here, balance, in sports, they can interpret that as well.
I'm gonna tell you this, they're gonna interpret it any way they want.
Well, correct, so we want, but not if we, that's what
Yeah,
it's
you guys have
trying
to be
to craft it
And this is
in a way that.
this is not a document that we're gonna publish. I don't think.
I thought it was for.
Probably.
Like, yeah, or take it to the council and then
And
refer
it's
to it as. we
Yeah.
do
Yeah, it's in
project.
it'll be in the comprehensive plan.
To help us, yeah.
Why not just say an outdoor activities instead, so that covers a whole umbrella
I like that.
Yeah,
and not sports?
Yeah.
Because we really don't have any place to expand unless you're gonna buy new land.
And I'm not even anti-sports,
I
I
mean,
mean, I
and
was
you have
fighting
to
for
really
baseball
define
fields
it,
and
'cause
things.
some people say putting a trail in is not, keeping a natural area, so it's you really have to kind of think about.
I like that, outdoor activities, because that's,
So,
so balance decisions that impact Orono's natural world footprint when considering the addition of hardscape and outdoor activities.
Yeah, sports fields development, I mean, I don't know.
That's too
How much
specific.
more of that are we at? How much more of that we can be doing?
And it is too specific, given the level of detail this document's meant to inspire, so.
I like that.
So just outdoor activities, not outdoor activity field.
No, yeah, just outdoor.
Yeah, I think-
Very-
You know, not to throw this out there, but even youth sports is now being taken over, by private equity firms that have big dollars that would love to see development to make a complex to start. There's just, we all have had kids and sports cost a lot of money and you make a lot of money. So,
Yeah, for instance,
That's where the balance comes in.
the soccer.
yeah, just trying to be careful with that.
That's now, all kids, if they play sports, they almost likely play club sports, right?
Yeah, it goes pretty quick, you know,
Yeah.
like, I had a second grader
That
in
is-
rec soccer, like, you gotta be on travel, we're done with rec. No more rec, he's 7, he's gotta be traveling.
That's definitely
What?
a thing around here.
But there's more money in travel, and that's a reality. I'm one person.
It's not our focus in our parks. Just make them that big.
So are we good with that? We just change, we just say, say one more time, balance decisions that impact Orono's natural rural footprint when considering the addition of hardscapes and outdoor activities. Good?
Comfortable with that.
And I just, revised, balance decision impacting Orono's.
Yeah, I think they were
Okay.
words. Yeah.
And then you're gonna change the recreation from the natural to recreational.
That was my brain taking over.
That was the time
That's
you're
okay.
too much wine.
I suggest that we skip the next page.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so just, so next steps are that we'll edit this. Are there any other points that we wanna talk about?
Good question, because we want to bring this to November to, with
Right.
minimal discussion, vote,
Right,
and be supportive of it, not force it, but,
Sorry, on the global standards, you just get, that's like, there's a lot of like wills on here.
Let's just skip this, because
Yeah.
this was just a draft that I spent like 10 minutes on, that tried to kind of prove the guiding principles in coming up with something. So let's just
put it in the parking lot, it's a good idea.
Put it in the parking we'll come back and talk when
Talk
it's,
about that.
when it's time.
Okay, Brian.
Me?
Yeah. But I remember we did it
Well, I thought the next step would be to talk about the goals for next year.
I did not get to that.
That's okay, I think that you put something in. Yeah, but you have the goal, our goal sheet for this year, I don't have the goal sheet for this year.
But we can talk about page 9,
Okay.
I think that's a good thing to get on page 9, right? Those are our kind of buckets for goals.
Well, okay, so, yeah, page here. Alright, this is one we covered last time too, but these are 3 new goals that I think we would propose for next year as a start to our 2026 list of focuses or goals. Jamie, that's what we're talking about here, okay? The other one that just came out of our discussion is survey. Okay, so I think that we are starting to create what our work will look like for next year already. And I think that those are 3 or 4 things that we should consider. So just real quick, so we talked about the survey, and I think the project there is to work with staff to decide if it makes sense to do why I say it makes sense is because we need to think about it in the global citywide perspective too. I don't know, just us parks going out for a survey. I mean, if that makes sense, great. If it doesn't make sense, if there's something broader that's happening at the city level, then it makes sense for us to plug into that when and if that is happening. So.
But I think that this, unless time is passed, we should have a good discussion about the survey.
Yeah, so for all of these projects, all of these focuses or goals, we set up the subcommittees for, and then 2-3 people will go out and discuss this, create the goals within that subcommittee, within that project, and create their timeline and create kind of the objective. So.
And I would just kick this off to say, this was kind of spawned on the standards, we had a meeting back in May, I think, and we purposes, we all want to look at the parks in different ways. I think we did a great job when we're not looking at the parks, because it got us out there. We probably could do a much better job of having common, like, viewpoint when we look at the parks, because I probably look up to it with Jamie. But we're on a journey, right, so that's a good first step. And I think we all got familiar as commissioners with our parks, which was a great benefit. Now we want to notch that up.
Yep.
And hand it over back to Brian.
Yep.
We want to have a bit more.
Just to touch on it too, I think part of this is, since most of the commission came out late, we missed our normal cycle of you guys being able to get input into the budget, into, we're doing some stuff with the CIP, which we'll talk about later, but being able to kind of start at the process instead of coming in midstream.
Joe, is that
Myself
the
included.
normal timeline for that, where when
Where's
a
where's that cycle?
new council would come in, that you would already have decided the month
We
before?
have in here complete by August, this input to the budget process, I think you told us that.
So that's when it goes, basically it needs to be done.
So we need to start earlier.
Well, you did that in February, but we didn't get on until March, is that normal? If there
Well,
are
it's
new
just more like-
commissioners coming in, should
I
it be
don't
like?
know, it was my first time too, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so so tonight, we're sitting here in October, right? We have a meeting in November, which will take up some specific topics. We don't meet in December, okay? So January, we want to come with a proposed list of our projects for 2026 by January, okay? And there'll be, typically it's a work session then, so we'll talk about them, and we'll volunteer for subcommittees around those goals, and then we adopt them at our February formal meeting. So this is the first step tonight for us to start to brainstorm about what the work is we want to do as a commission for 2026, and then continue honing in on that in January and making some decisions in January, and then formalize it in February.
But then we come, so maybe next, just let's say next February, maybe the same thing happens, and there's 3 or 4 new commissioners, and then we go the whole year.
It'll be the same thing. All of the people who are on here will be part of the process. Same as city council, just because there's a new city council.
But you're seeing what I said, we kind of had a year where we,
Yeah, I think that's why, we did a lot of stuff, but what we wasn't able to do is go through.
that's all, that's the only point I'm
Yeah.
trying to make.
Yeah.
Is to avoid, how is there a better way you can avoid that?
Well, I think it makes sense to have annual goals start in January, right? So maybe the solution is that we bring on new commissioners
Earlier.
by January. Yeah, instead of pushing the goals back, let's pull the recruiting and assignments up.
Is that,
Appointments.
who decides when they come on? Is that,
Usually they're like run for 3 years.
because I think it's always been in March,
Yeah,
so we can address that.
It would be a
You see, it's been a problem.
council.
Yes, it's a systematic problem because of the timing
This
of.
year was a fairly significant sea change in that we had a whole new, more than half of the commissioners are new, and then we have a relatively new, council, so it's a double whammy. But,
and a new job.
and no,
But it doesn't bode well for getting things done. I
think we've gotten a lot done actually this year.
yeah, but in terms of boots on the ground projects, that kind of thing, we're getting a lot of administrative stuff done, and that's good. And that's
Well, boots on the
getting-
ground projects are not gonna be done by you guys. Staff.
Is there a better
volunteer
time you think
opportunities.
we should be appointed?
Well, I just think,
goal?
Brian, I think you said, well, it seemed odd this year that, we got on board, and it could happen again next year, who knows, how many of us will be here.
Yeah.
Or not.
But, counter to that is, you come on in March, and you're figuring it out. And the train has left the station, and we've got goals, and we're assigned to parks, and we're assigned to subcommittees, and you're learning about how things work as a commissioner. and you take the goals that have been set to you because there has been a process involved in getting to those goals. And you go, and then your job is to create impact for the following year. So I don't know that changing the date is gonna, because you've got a certain amount of time spent doing this, learning how things work and what's going on and where we wanna focus our energy.
This is a little different too, because I think there was more directive from council to
Yes.
change kind of some of where the
Yeah.
goals were headed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a unique experience where it kind of changed, where normally, the remaining members of the park commission kind of just goes in the cycle, but there was kind of a new focus and standards.
I mean, I would say the same thing about the council, like, this year, they're the council for 2025, but the budget and the CIP was set by the previous council, right? So they've had to adopt that, they've had to
Yeah, I get it, I think it
go,
just,
so the process really starts in the summer, when the budget and the CIP is set up and then adopted and so forth, and then we in turn then take that direction and create the goals. So it would be weird to then bring someone on brand new in January without the 6 months of leading up to it.
And I do think our goals that we're proposing are kind of like higher level strategic ones that will fill a lot of our goals going forward.
Yeah.
That you should, versus, I think some of our current goals are kind of like specific project based. And I think if we follow the vision and the guiding principles, like everything should ladder up. So if you were new, you could kind of see things kind of fitting together.
And these principles will last, I mean, every year we're not gonna change the guiding principles. And so hopefully, everything should align and be consistent from year to year, even if there's turnover with people.
one, I think it probably could have better been addressed with that many new council members or new commissioners from the very beginning.
Yeah, I think currently we're in a bit of a reacting mode.
Yeah,
Things are happening, we're kind of influencing and whatnot, reacting and trying to get,
working
Hopefully
on
a good
old
product.
projects.
what'll be fun about January is then we can kind of start being proactive.
Yeah,
I got this great idea for Seven
Yeah.
Nations, I got a great idea for a new park, I
Yeah.
have
We brought,
beautification.
you interviewed in March, right? But you weren't appointed until April.
And
We didn't really have our first formal meeting as a park commission until May.
Right.
So if we waited till May,
No,
to
I'm
set
not
the-
suggesting any of that, I'm just saying,
the goals.
to me, there was a missed opportunity to train in new commissioners. I mean, we have the.
Well, some of this should be reflecting that, because we all felt that, right? We
Right.
kind of came in and we
Exactly.
got onboarded. And that's kind of when Molly and I started talking about this, so I would propose this should help, but without
Yes.
changing any dates for any appointments
No,
or
I'm not
goals.
suggesting that.
That this should help
Wondering-
mitigate some of those
Right.
concerns. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm not arguing any of it, I just wanna make sure
No,
we're
it's
all
good.
understanding.
Yeah, it's
you
good.
wanna-
Good discussion.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so these are, like I said, these are three projects, goals that came out of the work. One is to establish this annual review process, which is where all of us will go out and in a very consistent way and formalized way, we will work with Joe to determine, to assess the each park, and we'll create a report that had, or a catalog, if you will, that has a form for every park that we've looked at, and we do that. We go out there and do this, and we use some consistent standards to assess those parks.
Is it to check to see that everything was done that we committed to that year, is that what you're saying?
No, it's more like we did this year, like, that you led the way to going out and just looking at the parks, condition of the parks.
Well, would it be better to do that at each park meeting at the commissioners' updates, then it would be documented. And then
We
you have.
wanna operationalize it to be more
Oh, okay, bigger
consistent.
picture.
So I think we're building on the shoulders of what we did. I think we did a great job considering what we just talked about, right? A lot of things we're doing. But we all got out to our parks and we all had time to show and we all had feedback. And then we all thought, well, maybe we should make this process a little more tighter and consistent. And so we want to have a project, it basically as an engineer, I'm looking at this, we're operationalizing the process.
Yes, that's a good way.
And it will get better every year, so I'm sure the first time we'll do something, but it's gonna take some time to figure out what to look at, how to look at it, when Joe needs it. And so this project really just kind of operationalizes it.
Yeah,
But
because
the second project gets into the what.
yes, so Kim went out, looked at a park. Molly went out, looked at parks. I went out, looked at parks. We all looked at it in different ways. We looked at different things about the park. We looked at, some of it was aspirational, like, oh, we should replace this, or we should do this with this park, or kind of big capital projects. Others took a different approach.
Maintenance things.
There was more maintenance, more operational, more repairs, that kind of stuff. And so we looked at it with different lenses, and we also didn't have a standard set of standards that we used to see what the calibrate, yeah, right. And so
we did have your document, and we
Well,
have
we
the
got a
standards.
standards document.
Yeah. But I think it was hard to go out and use that when we were just going to the park. At least one of our initial reaction, like the dog park needs some weeding. That wouldn't have come out if I just followed the.
So like the standards we didn't
So
have,
kind of letting our.
like our standards don't say for playgrounds, okay? This is the type of a ground cover under the playgrounds that we want. There's nothing says that. We should create standards that say this is what we want under our playgrounds.
Yes, of course, I
Yep.
agree.
And
the
so,
current ones are like the items that are in the park.
yeah, and so without that, then Molly and I go look at playgrounds and we don't have that, we're not consistent. So the first item here is to create a process to operationalize this annual review. I mean, it's annual review, right? The second part is to do park standards. Maybe we should have done this, maybe I should have listed this in reverse, because you need the park standards to be able to do consistent annual reviews. But both of those are new projects that I think we should create subgroups around that, different timelines. We need to get these park standards down before we can actually start going out and doing the annual reviews. Yeah. Mike and do you guys have any thoughts on this?
I like it, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys following?
Yeah, work with them with that.
Cool.
Yeah, right.
All right, so those two will be on our, I would propose that we have on our 2026 goals. The third thing, which came out of this work too, is to complete long-term plans, master plans for every park. Okay, so I propose that we have a small group of us to say, all right, what does that mean? Okay, first step is, what do we have? Like, we have some, we don't have some, like, they're all different shapes and sizes, big ones, small ones, and, let's again operationalize that or standardize that to say, we need something, some sort of long-term plan for every park in Orono.
They're categorized in the comp plan as to.
And that would be a good thing to tap into.
Yeah.
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 So
And so
maybe that
sometimes
just-
in the past, we've been reactive when we create our master plans mostly. We're going to do Hackberry, and let's do a master plan first for Hackberry, because we don't have one. We're gonna try and instead have master plans for everyone, even if we don't have any plans to do anything on that
So
part.
it won't be on CIP or anything like that.
Right,
It could be if we activate the plan.
yeah,
And then you look
but we
at,
have something on the shelf for them when we do it.
and then you look at those plans, and you think about those plans more holistically, and then it helps to prioritize what comes first, right? Because then you understand what the whole picture looks like.
I get it, but if you look at right now, at the golf course master plan, which is in the comp plan, that should be off the shelf. I think that's the part that gets confusing, because it's got things like a rope tow and a burning grid.
Way dated.
Yeah,
So,
way,
so
way
we would
Yeah.
create a new master
Right.
plan.
So we have to, and Gordy's been wanting to do that anyways.
But
this
there
year.
might be things, and
And that's an annual review then of the master plans too, I think it should be.
Yeah, if we want.
that would be part of the annual, absolutely.
So, like,
would be part of the annual.
Yeah, so like, Seven Nations, right? I mean, that's right now, that's not on our radar to do much with. I mean, it could be, we've talked about ideas there. But let's at least put in some effort to think about it long term and get all of those ideas that we have collectively and get down on paper.
Caution about changing master plans every year, because then it's not
Well,
a
I
master
don't,
plan.
maybe
Yeah.
master plan is the wrong name.
I hate the word master plan.
When you said,
but
my thinking is,
I
we
agree.
would look at them every year to make sure, are we cool with which ones we're prioritizing over others? We're not gonna redefine them.
Categorized too, right, by where they are, the type of activities are happening in the park, you know, the golf course, like Summit Beach has one, but, you know, those should get reviewed every so often. The golf course for sure, but Seven
it's
Nations,
reviewed,
that
then,
is kind of what it is, and it should always be that way.
But Joe, isn't the master plan inquiry, like at the golf course, that is, that's a bigger expense plan too.
Yeah, it
Maybe
becomes-
it needs a new
Well, there'll
name.
be different scopes based on, like,
Yes.
like I have French Creek. French Creek might be a one-page master plan.
Might be a map.
Golf course will be
It could
Yeah.
be just, we
Some of them-
see no major
All of them
changes.
should have,
Which
Maybe a
ones
mission
or
statement
something.
for each park.
Right?
yeah,
Just like a mission
or a
statement.
purpose or something.
Yeah, I think master plan seems like there's a plan. The
Yeah.
plan, the plan might be.
Actually, a term that we're not using anymore as a society.
Yeah, so, I think that some of them could involve, external, consultants to help us get feedback from the residents, but all of them should have feedback from the residents somehow. Maybe we should get it, and some, and others should, and that's what the subcommittee around this is not in charge of doing all the master plans, or whatever we're gonna call it. Maybe the first thing that they do is figure out what we're calling it.
Yeah,
But-
let's call it something.
But
else.
the subcommittee is answering
There's
questions.
Master plans out there.
The subcommittee is
No,
asking, yeah, the subcommittee will look at what we have, what's on the shelf right now, and will prioritize the order in which we should do it, and should help decide what scope each park should have as far as a master plan
That's really
goes.
the mission and scope for park.
Yeah. Wow.
And maybe this master plan work feeds in somehow to this annual review process, right? So we're not gonna necessarily do new master plans for the year, but we could, on an annual basis, look at this work and help that feed into kind of our
Yeah.
annual planning or.
When we do the annual review process, it'd be nice to refer to a master plan.
And that is helpful for staff, because a lot of these things are gonna have to be budgeted, and you can't do them all at once. So if we can get a plan for, we do look 10 years out, it's a guess, but it's
Yeah.
a good idea.
And I would just add, that's a good point, Joe, is I think for us to be successful, and for the council to be successful, the more context we can bring ideas to the council and say, we've done all our master plans. These are the top 3 we want to invest in this year, here's why.
Yep.
Versus we come with one master plan and no more conversation. If I were a council member, it's like, well, what am I
Why not
missing?
this?
Yeah,
What
so
about this?
all this is ensuring ourselves to be effective when we go to council and say, we've done all this homework, and like, we have one for every plan, one for every park. But But here's the three, and here's why we put them on the top, because
Yeah.
the
That's why
quality.
you guys are
So-
here, to
Yeah.
take that information,
So where
boil it
is
down and bring it forward.
So we have master plans, or whatever we're gonna call it, and we've got this annual review, okay? The annual review in my mind is more operational,
To the standards.
operational budget, like repair, maintenance type of things. Whereas the master plan is more capital investment. CIP, less about the operational budget and more about the capital.
The capital dollars get spent, it has to happen within the direction of the plan.
Exactly, like, we're all going in the same direction with this part, because we've.
So let's rename that right now, so it doesn't get confused
What do
with
you
the
mean,
master
what do you
plan.
want to call
I don't know, is it like a wish list?
Vision
Like a
statement,
wish
maybe?
it?
list?
Strategic plan, is that fair?
Well, yeah, long-term plan,
Long-term plan?
concept plan,
Concept plans,
something
well,
like
no, because they're
long-term
out there too.
concept. or-
Yeah, I think long-term, if everyone gets it. that
Yeah.
means
And you have
concept
long-term
is-
earlier in the document, the plan short-term and
Oh, good
long-term, so.
City-
One, earlier in the document, you do reference short-term. we're gonna
And
take
long-term, yeah.
Long-term, so.
Yeah.
Long-term.
One big bullet point I'd like to see added, because I think it'd just be so wonderful to be on the park commission and get to identify new park opportunities.
Yes.
I'd like to see that on there, you know, if we can all, like, I'm really dreaming about that apple orchard, maybe being a potential park space of some sort. There's a road pointed right at it, it's gonna get developed. Is that an opportunity?
That's great.
Think of
Yeah.
Susan Merton before Susan Merton. It's
Right,
not old.
and
Think
we
Orono is
We could
a
actually,
great dog
we
park
could so proactively, you know, I mean, we could communicate to the city of Orono, hey, if you wanna leave something, some of your land to the city,
Yeah.
here's how to do it, or, you know, I mean, there's ways to proactively
So
go
I'd like
after
to see
some of
that
this
on
stuff.
here, because
Yeah.
Great.
what's more fun to be able to do than that? You know, it's not gonna happen next year, but the idea has
So
to
you want
start
it
to
on here as
happen.
part of the long-term planning? Or
Well,
is that,
this is part of our.
No, this is a,
no, what Jacob's saying?
Well, I think this is, goals for next year, right?
yeah, so this would be a,
Yeah.
that would be a
It'd be a
fifth
piece of-
one.
Somebody could take
Fifth
our
idea.
legacy, do the, like Channel 2 does, leave your,
Right.
leave us in the
Yeah.
will.
So new-
That
park.
could just exist on the website.
I would
Yeah,
say
addition,
that is
yeah, new
not
park
something
addition in there
that
somewhere
staff
else, that's also
can do,
earlier in the document.
Or the city can do.
Well,
Yeah, earlier in the document, it talks about new
that
park
point,
addition.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering to know what to,
We are
what to call it.
acquiring more
Yeah, new park addition.
things.
Okay.
That's going to be more expensive. So, I mean, it's all those things have to be taken into consideration. It's like you bring in a new park and now you're maintaining the park, and that impacts you.
Good problem to have.
It's a
And we
good
should probably
problem.
circle in planning commission with that too.
Yeah.
So when you build a big neighborhood,
Yeah.
might even think about a little bit of park space, other communities do that.
Yeah.
So.
But there's also, you know, like private funds, you know, how do we get people to like fund golf course? How do we privately fund something?
Okay, so in the essence of time, are we tracking with these three focus areas for the next year?
Does anyone have the 2025 goals?
Somewhere.
Okay.
I'm not gonna guarantee I'm gonna find it that quick.
I just wanna spend 2 more minutes just to make sure we have,
Right, get that on the, let's see, like up on the screen.
Oh, that I think.
that's okay. Let's just, there are some carryover, obviously, that hackberries is gonna be a carryover to 2026.
Antoine.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Good job, Joe.
See where it says focus up there, right?
Yes.
First column.
Focus, yes. Thank you.
You're not crazy.
No, I thought maybe I
I
was.
knew it was there somewhere.
Okay, so I'm kind of jumping around here, but adopt a park is off?
Well, it's
I thought it was
off.
delayed.
I just think it needs to be looked
So-
at, cause I.
For 26, it should be on there for 26, right?
I agree, I think it
I'm
could be
asking-
a
I'm
balance.
asking you.
No, I think so, and maybe we evolve it, as part of that.
I think it's just had to be sequenced to what we just talked about, because it can serve some of the things you want to do. There's a clear adaptation.
Brian,
It can
you're on the
alleviate
golf course,
staff
I was on the
meetings.
golf course, I think you took me off. the
Yeah, I think this is like.
No, that's us, that's.
I know, but I was on there, not Brian. But you was on.
This might just be.
There were so many renditions of this.
Yeah, I think this is just.
I thought I was on there.
Yeah, so,
So what do you want to do, Ryan? You want to touch on these?
Oh, I was just going down the list here, so there are a couple standing committees here, the Trails Committee, the Golf Course Committee, those will be on 2026, different animals. The Hackberry will be on there, Antoine will be on there, Pickleball will not, Park, Adopt a Park will, when I say will, I'm just saying, next time we meet, this is gonna have
And
the
we're
list,
ready to
okay?
talk about that.
And then we can discuss it and adopt it, right? The guiding, discussion document, hopefully will not be on there, will be done. And Mayor's Monarch Pledge, that will be on there, okay? And then,
We
in
might be
addition,
able to expand that into just, instead of just being modern, to be
Sorry.
gardens or pollinator gardens to kind of include.
No, there's an actual pledge that we signed, so.
Oh, I know, I've
Yeah,
already
I
signed
wanna
up for
keep
it.
Yeah, you should have.
Okay.
I like to keep
But I'm just
that.
saying there's a way to.
We can broaden it, that's like.
so in addition to those, then we have the established park standards. We have operationalize the annual review process. We have complete long-term plans.
Well, then
What
access
was the name?
points.
Concepts.
Yeah,
And then new park additions, which is Jacob's idea, and then the park survey, which is James. So those are, I think those are the candidates for next year.
But James brings a good point up.
Park
Access points.
access
What
points.
do you want to do
But
about
why is that divided like that? Seems
those were
odd.
more of the parks we all signed up to keep an eye on. So
We did
that-
not have, because we're not,
Lake access is.
when we started, we did not have lake access on for the goals for next year. We added it mid-year because it made sense, but I think.
But I think that's a goal Mike and I are gonna finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Every
I
year,
don't think we
because
need to
tonight,
put it
yeah.
on next year, right?
We'll put it on this year and talk about how we did.
Okay. Put it on this year.
Important.
Well, I think it's work that we did.
Or for next- I think you're right. The other one,
And they're important resources too.
We know you remember showing you that app with your voice, that app and put them on the bicycle? That's bad.
Is
And those are-
tonight a topic to add to that list of things you wanna, is that part of what you wanna talk about?
Yeah, if you have ideas about 2026
Yeah,
Well,
goals,
one of the things that is brought to my attention on occasion is a community garden. You know, is there some place out there where we could set one up and get going with that?
Right around that donation garden.
You could have room up there to do
Oh,
something
yeah,
like that?
there's plenty of room if the city doesn't, I don't know what, I'm sure that's gonna be a review for the council at some point, that land and what's gonna happen with it.
They seem to be popping up, you know, all over the place very quite successfully.
Well, I've tried for years to get some community gardens put in there, but
Have you?
gotten a big no
From,
from Adam.
oh, he didn't like the idea?
Well, I mean, he says no one asks for it, and I think that's part of the problem is, I don't think we can always wait for people to come to us, you know, that's why a survey is important, that's why getting out there in the community and talking to everyone and interacting.
That would be a good topic for the survey.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I mean, I think either way, for me, I mean, it's logistically, it would be a big project, it would be
Lot of
fencing,
work, yeah,
water,
yeah.
but I mean, if it's something the community wants, but if we don't ask, we're never gonna know,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
so Mike, I think it's a good idea. between now and January, can you explore it a little bit?
Yeah.
And come back to us and let's have that discussion in
And
January.
let's also include it in the survey to get what we need to understand. So to me,
Yeah, that,
I wouldn't trigger a goal about it right now. I would trigger, let's get feedback to
We've got
understand.
a lot of other stuff.
So it's a great act for the survey. That's why the survey, we should take time to plan it.
well, I mean, I'm trying not to exclude anything.
Yeah.
At this point, we're just, no such thing as bad ideas. Let's make a big list and then we can narrow it down in January.
This might just be exploring. It might be a part of it, but it's just on there
And
that
then
way.
the survey is a big piece of that. Okay.
One piece that I've made notes to myself to bring up earlier, and I think you guys are gonna be speaking to it, but like from the guiding principles, parks and lake access points. And lake access point, like, that is part of our role as park commissioners, and I think those can fall under threat to be lost. Again, once they're gone, they're gone. And some probably can be utilized more effectively, and the current ones could be utilized more effectively. Great little
I think these guys will
neighborhood
talk
beaches.
about that.
Exactly, so I just think that lake access point piece falls off in most of the wording earlier. I meant to bring that up, I meant to look at myself.
Yeah, we had talked about it.
Because essentially those are parks,
Yeah.
Little beach, Little Casco Beach, that's a little park. It's
It's
60-foot wide, but it's a great spot to swim. And I used to swim at all of them when I was a kid in Deep Haven. There's a lot of little stony beach and rocky beach. It's really nice beach, stony.
That was a great catch. We're gonna add that in the guiding principles under effective guidance, maintain safe, accessible, and high quality care for our parks and lake access points.
Because it is public space and we need to protect that.
Sorry, I think we had it at one time. Okay, cool. So that's a good preview to running start to our goals.
Exactly, and it doesn't mean that we don't talk about it between now and January. I think that between now and January, we should have discussions amongst ourselves about these goals. Can you send out this proposed list? Huh?
Yeah, I can send this out.
No, the one that we
Is what
just,
we added today.
what we just added.
Oh, what we just added.
And we added like the survey and the.
Yep.
access
Community
parks.
garden,
Maybe 2026.
new park
It could be
additions.
real.
So that,
Sure.
and
We probably need
as a
designated note
first
takers.
pass at our 2026 goals.
Designated note takers, I hate doing it.
Yeah, I was just
Mine
gonna
are
say,
all
let's
over
make
the
sure we
place.
got them all. So we're adding the survey.
Yep.
The lake access points. We're adding.
No, we're not adding lake access points.
That's our. We're working hard, we're gonna get that checked off the list.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
we don't even really know what our end goal is.
For lake access,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna speak a little bit about.
I was
what
assuming it
did
was gonna be.
Yeah.
Tonight,
We
you
can,
can say
let's
what you
let's
want.
add it on there and we can take it off.
Yeah.
in
How
January.
we got there.
Explore community gardens.
How we
People
got
all
here.
comes off.
Well, let's just get the ones we talked about, so Joe doesn't lose.
I got it.
Okay.
Lake access points, and if it's done, if it's complete, then we can take it off.
Or just report what you did.
Lake access points should always be.
Well, it's on there as
It's
a
on
thing
there,
to
so
honor.
there's-
I'm just saying, yeah, there's
But
not.
not as a
Those are
project.
goals down there,
That's a
that's
goal.
the goals. And maybe we should.
Listen, that's been decades in the making, in working on these access points, that's why it's gonna be good to get some resolution to that. It's been around I went back decades in those minutes, and they're talking about trying to figure them out.
Okay, so,
Figure it out.
um, there's a couple other pages in here that I do not think we need to review. But if anyone wants to talk about it, the, proposed draft that our two purposes are development, acquisition, and anything that we have. This is on the website, duties of the park commission, so that's one of the reference. Do you wanna talk about this at all? Do you think this is worth going through, Joe?
I think you guys had it in there, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
So we went through all this last night.
Any questions on it?
I think you could add volunteers in the doctor part to that, couldn't you? I mean, aren't they part of they end up being people that have responsibilities and roles in the parks.
Maybe we can add once we do some of the work on the document. But right now,
For volunteers somewhere.
Because that's one of the council's goals, is to
Yeah.
get the community engaged.
let's make sure we don't lose it. Okay, then the next page is basically what I kicked us off, so that really we have. So, I think we're close enough to bring a final version with some great feedback to November for voting. If anyone has ideas that come after, just email us, because this is our document. We only drafted it for us to react to, it's not our document, it's this commission.
And then this is just, if you guys remember from your orientation, this is just kind of the process, it's kind of how we go through the cycle. So, approve goals and assignments, this is when we do the work. June, July, the budget input.
At some point, we should talk about how,
What you're missing there is the annual review. The annual
Well,
parks
yeah,
review
that will be
should be right there. And that will feed the budget. Yeah, that will feed the budget.
what I would like some clarification on is the first blue bubble there. It's, I'd like one before that, how do we accept, how do those ideas and input come from the community?
Well,
Who do they come to?
They can come to all sorts of people. They can come to me. Someone calls and says, hey, this park has this problem. Can you
Or a park
guys,
commissioner, but then.
or
where
a
does
park
it go?
commissioner, or Adam, or council, or
Anyone comes to our meeting.
But then where do those ideas get collected then? And concerns that we're supposed to be, do they go to us, the park commission, to sort out, or do?
Yeah, well, if they get a call from someone, or if any of us get a call from someone, if I get a call from someone, the first thing I do is say, come to our next meeting. That's the great.
I think it all depends what it is, of course. So if
Yeah.
it's a big idea, like, we'll use pickleball, because we really want pickleball. They come to you, JD, and you say, I don't know, I don't really like pickleball, but I've had some people come. No, just an example. It could be whatever. It could be, I love pickleball, but, and then you say, you know, I have a lot of people coming talking about pickleball. Can we talk about what are the options for that?
I think there
If
should be
it's-
somewhere to direct it to. though.
Yeah.
The meeting is the chance to direct it to.
I don't think we should be taking all this in and kind of sifting through it, that there should be somebody on staff that.
It should come to me, but
Yeah.
I don't usually hear things from you guys. I
So
hear
what
from
you're
you
saying
at a
is we
meeting.
should send our citizen input,
Yeah.
topics, comments to Joe.
I'm hearing things
So
from
we're all hearing the same
I'm
thing.
hearing things all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of this stuff is gonna be, oh, there's a tree down on that so-and-so park. We'll just take care of that kind of stuff. You guys can just
See that, yeah.
But if
Didn't
it
there used to be a
becomes-
suggestion box out there?
But if it becomes, you know, we really need a new soccer field.
Out there.
Do you think that we're missing ideas?
I think it's hard to, so somebody comes and let's use the pickleball thing. They come to you and they say, Brian, you're on the park commission, we really want to get pickleball in there. What do you do with that idea?
I tell them to come to our next meeting,
And
because
then what
I
are
don't,
you doing with
I
that
don't wanna
idea?
be responsible for
Okay. then they
for
probably-
saying, you know, if it's a good idea or not a good idea. This is come so that all of us can hear it, including staff.
And that's what we should be saying to everybody. So we have a consistent process to capture, not to cut the tree down.
No, I think it's good.
If it's operational, then
And then
it should
it
go
kind
straight
of
to
cuts
everybody.
off the kind of thing of where like, oh, this is a pet project for a council member or a commission member. It's, that way it shows it's coming from the community.
So we shouldn't say, come to a meeting, we should say, go to Joe.
You can say
either
come to
way,
the meeting.
because Joe's at the meeting, so.
know,
I just
but
wanna
then-
make sure all of us hear, this is an opportunity for us to hear from one of our residents. So
I think you can have him talk to me, because it might be something like, we this, and we've already discussed this, or this is planned for something in the future, or it could be something like, well, that doesn't really align with our city goals, so, you know, you can still come to the meeting and present, but I don't, you know, I can kind of give them.
You would say that, but I wouldn't say that.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So what are we saying, we're gonna send them to Joe?
Sure.
And have them come to a meeting?
Yeah, I encourage them
Right.
to come to a meeting.
Should we put that in the process?
Joe can encourage them to come.
Well, because at some point, it's gonna be staff or the council that decides where maybe that idea isn't feasible financially, or maybe there's no place to do it. I mean, before it gets out, and, because somebody can say no before we spend a lot of time.
And it could be something that maybe isn't, but we'd be able to filter to council, because ultimately it's gonna be council who funds it and approves it, but staff can kind of filter those and kind of, because I think we've gotten into some projects before that have gone forward that didn't really have support, and I know that's something we don't want to go down the road, but we also want to encourage the public to, you know, have a voice and, you know, have things that interest them. They have them.
I wasn't really kidding about a suggestion box. You know, if there's like a little forum, you could have sitting there, and anybody with an idea could click a few things off and stick it in there. I mean, I've done that in a few places that I've worked.
We are
Put it on the website.
launching, that's gonna be coming soon, it's a public facing, it's really focused more towards park maintenance, kind of like concerns, but you could, citizen problem. You could give comments in there, you could say, you know, I really like Hackberry, I want this fixed or whatever, that will come.
So this is coming for consumer, residents?
Yeah, so they're working on it right now, just kind of getting it, yeah, it will be like a map. So it'll be a tool too, so you can go on the map and see where the parks are at, where lake access points are at, where trails are at, not just for Orono, but also for, you know, Three Rivers and some state parks in the area. So, but a portion of that will be people can submit a concern or a comment. So
How do people find out where they can?
it'll be on the website. It'll be on our website. I think Rachel, our communications person, once it's live and ready to go, we'll kind of push that out so people are more aware. Through social media,
Okay, and then,
probably through the newsletter.
newsletter.
Yeah. So it's mostly for us and community development, so planning. So.
To Mike's point, suggestion box like the QR code, you know, could be added there.
I sent that to Cameron in
Someone's passing it.
2022, I just ran across the picture.
Well,
And
that is something we talked about with them.
They have them
Constantly
in every park.
encouraging,
it was,
really.
then the requests or comments go directly to the staff.
Well, so this goes directly, so this is what this system is set up for. And it can be connected to a QR code that's at the parks. It goes into our software we have, and it will create like a task. So it's something like a fence needs to be fixed. It will create a task. So, and then if you, let's say Molly puts this in, she can go in and look to see. You can sign up if you want. You can do it anonymously. You can put your name in. You'll be able to check to see if it's been completed. And so, ideally, what we should do is when we complete it, say the fence was fixed. You know, it's closed, and you'll get it. You can get a response.
Wow. Cool.
So that's, we kind of have that already, but right now it really has to be done. We mostly do it for phone calls, and our staff puts it in, and then people can go in and still look at it. But once this goes live, it'll be a little easier to use and integrate it. Just
Will you then report that, have a report made from that, or how would people?
there could be a report.
How would people know, how would we know if we should be paying attention to something specific or not necessarily?
Well, I think this is more something I don't think you guys should,
This
because
is
this is
like
going to be
when I saw the tree
more.
fall on the fence.
This is going to be more like day-to-day maintenance stuff, I think. We could use it for some bigger ideas, but I feel like that's not gonna be where people ever wanna go, but I may get some of that stuff. If there's a lot of things that come through.
Could you make a, using all the same system stuff, make a separate like suggestion box? Yeah, on the website.
See if that's, could be like an option.
And it might be as simple as something pops in, it resonates, you're like, that's a pretty good
Yeah,
idea.
I think it will just be like a different drop down.
Rise
We could
up.
maybe do instead of, it would be a different drop down instead of like a maintenance issue.
Right. Something to explore.
Okay, thanks. Alright, let's,
But as we're like thinking about standards and signs and, you know, maybe all of our parks should have a sign.
it is gonna be a lot.
I'll find that picture.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was looking for, but I ran across it.
No, that's a good place to catch it, on the
Because
stairs.
you're more likely to respond at the site
Yes.
than you are to go, oh, I'll go home and email.
Right.
Make it easy.
I would.
Moved on.
I forgot.
No, yeah. We didn't even ask Wayzata how they did it. You know, or whether they learned what they did.
Well, they're pretty good. I mean, with their parks, if you go by Clapper's right now, they've got like a big sign that you can, with a website, you can go right and find the plans for it and keep track to date.
That's because there's a current ongoing project there, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Do we
at
have
their
parks
other
as
parks where they don't have ongoing projects, they have these QR codes?
Yeah. Like the one across from the post office, it's not there anymore, but it'll say on there, tell us what you,
Yeah, I think that's great.
I'll find the picture and email it to Joe, because that's real-time response.
Yeah. And make it easy for people to.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just wanna go quickly over, this is so the park maintenance and improvements, so this, I broke it down. These are figures by park. And then this is a breakdown of kind of the amenities, that we have right now. This is,
How did you come up with this, Joe? Is this based on our comments to you?
Yes.
So when we had the meeting at City Hall, or in the city council, with, Jacqueline and Steve were there, about standards. I remember talking to Steve, and I said, are you looking for a chart that says, we have 100 benches, we need 20 benches, at this money, but if you wanna lean in, we can replace 35 benches. And I was
Couple
envisioning a
different-
chart like that said that.
well, the problem with that is, when I proposed the CIP budget, I can't say, I would like you guys to approve $10,000 to $50,000. Kinda have to decide. This is-
I just wanna manage Steve's expectations, I thought he
Yeah.
was looking for that chart. Like I
Couple
was
different
envisioning-
options.
Well, I'm gonna
Well,
break
just
this
like,
down a
if
little
we
more.
want, like the signs, right, like we leaned in on the signs.
Well, that's what this is right here, so.
Can you combine these two though, Joe? So like Beaterwood has 53,000, and obviously you can tell there's playground borders for 40,000.
Yeah.
Can you put Beaterwood and then put 40,000 and then whatever the 13,000 is?
I am doing that for the CIP, so I
Okay.
kind of revise that because, we do have Beaterwood's playground up to be redone.
So I hate to say that, but
2028.
Peterwood's is like, looks brand new.
It's not a lot.
It's blue.
Oh,
I mean,
it's not what mine is. It's
It
one
does
of
make
the,
sense.
it's one of
It
the
is one of
older
the-
parks.
By Stubbs Bay, Beaterwood by
And,
Stubbs Bay.
The
according
playground.
to
The playground.
the
Oh, I know.
playground
Maybe my
standard,
son were there, like, I thought it was brand new.
no,
It is a little older, it's one of the older ones.
yeah, have you ever, gone down one of the slides?
Yeah.
Can I ask you something about Beaterwood?
Just today.
So maybe you can answer this better. All the other playgrounds have concrete curbs, and Beaterwood, you're gonna put timbers in again, are you?
To hold like the.
And that's something when we would not put timbers in again, because that's not the standard anymore.
But
They just right.
I have an opinion on this.
And I talked to Adam with this, and he thinks it would
What's your opinion?
be a
Waste of money.
waste of money to do it, and then we'd just have to replace it.
So,
Because it's against our standard.
right, so my thought, is because Beaterwood is probably going to be the next playground to be revised.
The equipment.
So the
The equipment.
equipment. We would just replace the 4 planks, or what do we call this, railroad ties now, because I hate to put concrete in and then say, and then we have a vision for a new playground, and now we've got to fit it into this area that we've just spent $30,000
Right,
replacing.
but there was talk about, it was I think it was last year, at one of the parks thing about Peterwood, it was too expensive, they talked about pickleball there, I can't remember if it was pickleball. And they said it was too expensive to move the playground equipment, and now we're talking about it needs to be replaced, so.
And playground equipment is monitored by some
Right.
national association.
But
And,
I'm saying-
and according to their guidelines, you have to replace the equipment every X years. So it's not an option to not
Well,
replace it.
maybe then what I'm
We
saying,
have it for 2028.
what I'm saying is that maybe it's time now to move the playground to make that space more usable. Because that was the topic of that conversation,
Yep.
was we are,
I think that probably goes into a lot of grading aspects.
So what, I'm gonna propose is, can this conversation happen when we do the long-term plan for Peterwood?
Yes.
And so we wanna be careful what we spend
Yeah, so,
money on now, because we know there's a long-term plan coming, and that's what I wanna make sure we're all.
I was actually working on the
It's a
same
waste of
breaking.
money to put the concrete in now, I'm just gonna.
well,
Yeah,
so is this
I
for
know-
2026, Joe?
This is
Or what?
Councilman Pershing, requested, since our budget for parks, we don't have the budget to reach our goals for the park standards. So his suggestion was to put together basically a capital improvement plan to get them up to standards.
Group all these
Group them
small
all
things
together.
together
Kind of,
so that we can do it in the capital investment and not through the.
so I was working on this a little more today, so I did separate the playground, the borders and the mulch from beaterwood, so that this is down a little further. The recycling and trash cans are separated in separate area as well.
Is that all new trash,
We don't have any trash cans, so.
You mean like the little housing units you put the bin in, like we were talking about when I was with the
Yes.
And that 41,000 is all like Ramsey sanitation containers replaced by like what I see in one, like.
Yes.
permanent.
So there'd be a permanent trash, and that's trash and recycling, so it's like a dual. There's some
And where are the
wiggle room on what you're looking for,
Or
but that's,
the operating costs.
they're gonna be long, because we have staff.
Well, when I was out at Access Points, I checked all the garbage cans, and I've been up there to them a few times.
There's
Some
a lot
hardly
of
get
ways.
used, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Some of them aren't gonna be used a lot,
Yeah.
but at, our busy parks, they're gonna be used. And when you have a dedicated trash can, and we're gonna do recycling, people are gonna use it, so even if it's not always full, staff out there.
Joe, I
The
just,
co-
Joe, I want to interject one thing, just because Steve had to leave, but the one thing he mentioned to me at the beginning is he was interested in seeing if there was some sort of spreadsheet enumerating which amenities were being suggested for each park.
I do have a form, but I can have that, but when doing this, I do have a little document kind of breaking down what amenities for each park,
Okay,
but I didn't wanna.
no, maybe it's
overburden us.
premature, I just want to put that, that's what he was interested in.
I think we
Yep.
want to see.
So the playground borders at 40,000, that's mostly beaterwood?
That's mostly beaterwood, there's some mulch improvements at a few other parks, but to do border of that size, to replace it,
And that's concrete.
So Joe, you built
Yeah.
this, you built this spreadsheet by, it started with each park,
yeah, so
and you
I
build it up?
I took what kind of all the suggestions were from the park commission.
That's the better way to do it.
Those answers.
Yeah, I just feel like we're all asking you so many questions, because we don't have the detail that the money's actually doing.
We need to understand what.
So this is the one. Okay, so can you just take one there, like, what are you gonna do at Seven Nations for $5,900?
Replace benches, that's if you guys want brand new benches. So it's
And why did you pick that one for benches versus?
I did, because they have outdated benches that are not.
I think that context is gonna help us a lot, if you can somehow.
The
I
thing
know
is,
verbalizing it's good, but maybe
this
not.
is like kind of not, I don't want to get into like this deep discussion about, oh, are we doing benches here, are we doing benches here?
But I appreciate what you said, like you said, the benches are really bad at Seven Nations.
But
Okay.
we have to say, we can't afford, or city council says we can't do 114, we have to do 50.
It's actually going to be more, because
I know, but just as an example, then there needs to be a discussion, and I think we are part of that discussion about how we prioritize what happens first.
but I think when it comes down to it, we're going to have to implement it. Staff's going to have to implement it in the city.
But maybe it happens partly in 2026 and partly in 2027, if the money's not there.
Well,
So,
we haven't even as a whole commission talked about what the needs might be, so, you know, maybe that's just.
And I think that's part of the next cycle is we'll have more, because a lot of this stuff should just be in the regular budget. The capital. Not the
Remember,
capital.
but you don't know what the money's for, it's just begging questions, I just feel like.
Well, I do have the list. I didn't want this meeting to go till midnight while I'm going through line item of this
But
part
can you
needs a.
add another column and not go to midnight, just not tonight, but could you add another column and say, like what you said to me about Seven Nations, replace benches, they, in my judgment, gave the first.
I could send you guys what I just, I do have this list, we went over it in our last regular meeting. So all those things I broke down from that list, just with like costs, and then tried to streamline. I can send that out to
Back to
you.
that.
Yeah.
And I do think when I remember Steve saying, he wanted by park or by amenity across the whole portfolio, what he wanted, and if, like you said, we could have 20 benches, but if they really wanted to lean into 30, you could answer that question.
But we also haven't answered what our standards are, because it's just me.
But we also agreed that the first level of standards is this.
Yeah, that's why,
This is like the up to snuff standards, right? Not every.
yeah, and I have this broken down a little more for them with, so this is what it would cost to replace. If we replace all the picnic tables, let's say we just wanted to have all the picnic tables up to standard, it's gonna be about 30,000. If we wanna replace all the benches to standard, it's gonna be about 40,000. So that's kind of.
I think that would be good to include when you do it.
I can send you guys this. I just,
Just because.
Let me
of our
ask you a
services.
question. So what is the timing of this request?
so I'm presenting to council next Monday on this.
Okay, he's presenting to council next Monday. What do you need from us? Or how do you want us to be involved in this?
No, I didn't. You guys are involved.
I think
This
that
came from all of you. This is not.
I think that we've had,
I think what I'll need is if, let's say council comes back and says, no, that's too much, we don't have that capital. Then I would need you guys to prioritize what we're looking at. Let's say they say, you have 10,000. What are your top goals? That's when I would come to you guys. Right now, I took everything that you asked for and threw it in there.
With the exception of the cement.
Yeah, and
I'd rather spend 40,000 on benches than cement, just saying.
that I've moved to 2028 because if we're doing a playground, we should do it all at the same time.
The cement?
Well, you should have
Yes.
said that.
What's all in the paper?
I said I adjusted this today.
So we're gonna have splintered wood until 2028?
Let me get, but
We can
because
replace
it's
it.
Let's
so,
bring it up to the.
because it's so big
We
on
can
here.
replace that now. We just would have to basically cut
I'm just suggesting we have 4 timbers put in where it's going to.
Just repair.
Joe, because it's half of the 114, what is in the 53 of Beaverwood?
That is the,
It's 40,000 for the playground or just the board?
There's a lot of.
no, because we also have to replace the, baseball field backstop with the heaving, so that's gonna be like 5,000.
The ball field people pay for that?
They're already paying for irrigation, that's gonna be there, and they're doing the upkeep on the dugouts, so. And they're also gonna be helping fund the backstops. So they have some,
So you're, okay.
so that's kind of like,
Okay, that's 5,000 out of the 53.
the 40 of it was
Okay,
the
so,
borders.
all right, so then we take the 40 out.
I have this updated, so that's,
So it's much,
same as with the trash and recycling. That I have those separated out right now.
Okay.
This is just, I
can
had
you
to have
just give
this,
us, we
sent to you guys last week.
We won't interfere between now and Monday, or at least I won't. Can you just at least give us some visibility into
I
these
will send
numbers,
this to you guys.
and then if you need our help prioritizing after you present on Monday, then let us know.
Yeah, and I'm
Is
gonna
that
say
fair?
one more time, I would encourage you to add what Brian said, and I think Mike said it too, like, can you put the amenities and the parks together?
I'm gonna send you guys this.
Yeah, but I think it's still a leap for them to understand what we picked and chose from our visits. So my first thought is we should say.
He's saying that everything's in here.
Everything's in,
He didn't pick and choose.
nothing's picked.
Well, then I would somehow get that in the document, because I think we're still
I
kind
do,
of,
this is for.
It's got a-
yeah.
Joe, are these signs, do they cover, park signs, informational signs? Do
I
they
have them
cover
broken
the
down a little
access
more.
point signs?
So,
Is
I
that
have,
included?
I have the park signs, like our, and like information signs, and then separate out, I have the like histories, like the bigger ones.
Okay, but what about the access, lake access posts and
We just
signs?
have those.
You have those already?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We can make those, right?
Yeah, those would just come out of our regular.
There's a sign
Okay.
shop.
Yeah.
I want to make sure.
Yeah, we have some of
But
those.
why is this gonna go to the council before we understand what it is? Maybe we don't want benches at.
This came from you guys. This all came from
Yeah,
your
I think
comments.
that's the way you should have kicked it off. Is we
This is
all-
not from me, this is
Yeah,
all
we all
directed from you.
sent stuff to Joe, and he built this based on what he
He just
presented.
quantified what
Where was I in this?
Well, it's that document, the one we're hungry for.
Well, we, at our meeting, I think, was it
August, was it August?
August,
Was
yeah.
that the
I
August
went-
meeting?
talked about it for probably about an hour and a half, went through each
I
item.
don't remember saying I want.
Well, it's not what you want, it's what all the commissioners want.
Well, I mean, if each
I
commissioner
just
had
remember
input.
Peter was getting a lot of attention from all of us.
Well, they have some bigger projects there, so it is a bigger park, and there is some bigger projects like the fencing and stuff that adds up.
So, and so what Brian said, you can send out the list, and then this is how that is gonna come to life, and we just need that one stone on the second.
And none of, just to be clear, this is a separate request from all the other ongoing projects, like none of Hackberry's in here. Like,
Right, I did not.
None of,
because that's-
maybe the park access, I don't know what all park access is, but anything else like,
Lake access.
or I'm sorry, lake access. Antoine, none of that is in here. Anything that's a separate project itself is not in here. This is just kind of a,
Golf course is separate.
this is just kind of everything else that kind of had the, you know, that came out of our reviews, our visits with him. So,
This was just to get kind of things up to.
up to standard, closer to standard.
It might be a couple of years.
Take a
Yeah, I
step
think we
towards
just, we agree that
standards.
we're just wanting to get this stuff, like just common sense standards, that kind of.
Yeah.
And that's what we can do that now, and then we'll work on the standards too. do this all again.
Alright, Jamie, you ready?
I'm ready, and I'll make it short now that, okay, can you bring up number 31, the street view? And, okay, Mike and I are working on the access points, and this is really a complex project.
How many access points are there?
41 plus Big Island. I've been to Big Island 6 times, but I won't even go down there with this project. So, how did we get here? We got here, and created this document. The bullet points on the side come from an Excel sheet that the city had. And so Mike and I have not weighed in on any of this. We haven't.
You guys have that in your,
In the package.
It's just description.
Can you go to the next one, the 31, that one? Okay.
Can we just back up, what is the purpose, like, what do you want from us on this topic?
Well, I'm gonna tell you how we got here, and then I'll tell you where we think we're going with it. So anyway, what we ended up with was, this Excel document that was about this long. There was no way you could take it out in the field and go find an access point and then scroll on your phone or whatever device you had to define it. So Mike and I started to, take aerial shots. Mike made this great checklist, we collaborated, and then I brought everything together in a document. So we started out with just the aerial photos, and then it was like, oh my gosh, that doesn't tell us as much as how are the rest of the commissioners gonna see what these access points look like? Because we're talking about public land here that could be useful. Some of it is obviously not. So going out, then we have the sheet where we're gonna add our comments to and check it off, and then we have the street view so you can actually kind of see. So this particular access, the reason I wanted Joe to bring it up is there's been a neighborhood request to open this up, and it appears that it might have been open at one time. There's a bench, it's a lovely, I think it's 60 feet wide. And the reason I think it should be marked this year, this would be my recommendation, is because there's a lot of construction to the left there, and there's also encroachment going on from that property owner. And then there's a bit of a dispute on the other side about neighbors coming down and using it. So overall, my opinion is that every one of these accesses, lake accesses, should be marked, even if they're not accessible. Just say, no, I don't know what that would be, no access.
so I think when we do mark something, that gives them the expectation that we're gonna
Do them
take
all.
care of it. And, we can't, I know it's tough, you guys should be getting involved
We should be protecting public
with,
access.
Yes.
with citizens, with neighbor
No, we're not.
neighborhood disputes. But,
But
yeah.
surveyed lines are surveyed lines.
yeah,
So,
I mean, we, out front here, we have a city right away.
Yep.
And that, in front of probably all your houses, you have a city right away.
Yep.
Technically, that's city
So
property.
what's the city's position on lake access points?
When they serve a purpose, I think, and this is up to interpretation and can be changed, is when they serve a purpose, we would want to have access for citizens to use it. Some of them are, you can see here, this is probably why this one exists, because we needed to get access to that right there. Or their fire lanes where the fire department needs.
So does the city have a
or
list of the
their-
ones we want to maintain and the ones we,
Well, that's kind of what,
Or that's what we're
with Jamie kind of.
so we're still working.
Oh, yeah, this is just the.
It's here,
This
Jamie.
is the beginning, yeah, so what Jamie
This
did
is
is
gonna
like,
take a long,
Okay, that's
arduous.
what Jamie did is break it down, so you'll see a lot of them are marked, some are not marked, some are not accessible, and we shouldn't even, she has notes on it, which is really helpful. Some of them are just not accessible, and it's not a valid access point for anyone. Some of them maybe need to be marked or need to be maintained.
Lisa, do you have, Lisa, Do you have any like background? Because I know you started like this has been an
I-
ongoing project.
I didn't
for a
start
couple
it, it was
years.
started a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah, no, I didn't, but I did work on it for a
Yeah,
time.
you went and like, as I remember, I wasn't really involved, but
Yep.
as I remember, you went through and like the lowest hanging fruit approach for this park access or for lake access, right? So you went through and the ones that really made like slam dunk, these are lake access, these are used and so forth, we're gonna mark them with signs. Is that right?
I mean, it was a process. I was working on a subcommittee with somebody else around these, and we went
With
out.
Cameron, right?
Yep, and we went out, and some are very vegetated. They're very steep. They involve infrastructure. So we weren't looking at those. We were looking at ones that had wide swaths or kind of a clear. This would probably be one example, or a beach setting, something with a lawn. You know, there's ones on Casco, I think, that fell into that category. Ones that had potential for recreational value, even if it was for neighborhood purposes. These aren't typically things that are going to be drawing in crowds from other places. This one would likely fall into that category because A, there's been a neighbor request, and B, it is well used, and it's been used for decades. So I understand there's liability issues that can start, there can be parking issues, there's lots of things to consider here. But in terms of listening to a neighborhood or residents that see value here, that do use it, you know, that's, I think, was our focus.
Yeah, so is it fair to say, I'm just trying to provide background here
Yep.
for everyone. I can't remember.
Yep.
But you guys went out and marked some in the past, and now we're getting to the ones that are a little bit tougher, like should these be lake
Isn't that
access
what
points
Jamie
or
and
not?
Mike is-
Yeah,
isn't that what
I'll tell you,
you're
I've
working
got
on right
this.
now?
Yeah, no, that's what, I think that's what Mike and Janie are trying to work through.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, so in 2022, this would have been when Elisa worked on it in Cameron. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of them marked. And that's probably what you're talking about when you refer to the low-hanging fruit. Okay, I don't think Cameron and Elisa went to every single
No, I
access
certainly
point.
did not, no.
Yeah, so now you're trying to assess
We
more
have
of it.
we have been to every access point. There's 41 of them there. The access point aerial view and then the street view.
Yeah.
And to me, okay, so there's a whole bunch, a range of issues, I'd say. There's encroachment, there's vehicles, there's snow plows, there's vegetation that is overgrown, there's a lot of things. And then there's been some lot disputes, and some of that, all of that is in here for each one if it was recorded on there. So the only way I think to resolve this lake access thing is to go through them individually and really get down to defining them. So, you know, I think before we looked at them, okay, which ones have a recreational value? Maybe they have a recreational value, but it wasn't recognized because people weren't biking as much back then. I can find stuff going back in the 1980s. They're still talking about this. So I can see where some of the ones that are marked by the city, but they're not marked on the boundaries. And so some of the posts, I don't know if you know, there's some out by Navarre that are like that, Joe. It might be a 20 or 40-foot access, and the posts are 5 feet apart.
And some of those are, I was involved in all this, some of that is the request of the city, like they don't want that. We can discuss if we want it, you know.
But we still own them.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
like I
about
said though,
that,
same thing as like a right of way in front of your yard, we technically own that too.
well, part of the issue is that the city, and this isn't my opinion or anything, but the city allows these people to maintain this public land.
The residents?
The
The
just
residents,
Yeah.
the homeowners, and it's public land. So what happens is, of course, over years, they think that it becomes part of theirs. So what the city or the council needs to do is make a decision about enforcement and on the ones where they do want to open the public accesses. For me, this is what I encountered. I thought there were accesses that the residents maintained, and I felt really funny, and they're marked by the city, and people can use them. I felt really funny walking down there, because it felt like I was walking in their yard.
Because of how they like maintain.
Yeah, because.
Well, these are only 30 feet wide. I mean, you've got neighbors that are around you, and when you come down there, you're a stranger effectively walking in the yard of the person who's had it empty for the last 10 years.
Or the intention is that this space is for the neighbors.
In fact, I
They should be
think,
considered
excuse me, I think one of the,
People should be, it's public land.
no, it's not. They're public rights of way,
Well,
but you do not have to provide access to
Not
public
to all
rights
of
of
them.
way. No, some of them are amenable to access, but calling them all access points was the first mistake that was made, because they
Well,
aren't
who
all
made-
access
Who
points.
made that? Like, I'm not sure I'm tracking.
Of what?
You mean, you don't think that if there's a 40-foot.
They used to be called fire lanes.
Right. I
Until,
grew up next to two fire
Yeah.
lanes, one on the top of the hill and one at the bottom of the hill, and the neighbors really enjoyed that the people that didn't live on the lake, we did.
yeah,
And then, it was noted a public access because it was marked that.
some
A lot
of them
get used in the
can,
winter
some of them
more than
can
the
be.
summer.
But in one of these earlier descriptions of the access points, 7 of them are listed as no public use designation, and 13 of them are drainage alone.
Right.
So of the
those are
41,
not open.
41, yeah, 2 of them have already should be off the list. Number 1, and then what is it?
Right, I agree.
Fagerness, and then I forgot where I was going with this, but
Well, you said that, like, the right of way versus access.
right.
So they were called public access points, which implies that the
Correct.
public can safely access the lake
Correct.
there. But, and his point is that it's a misnomer. We should just remove those altogether. They might be owned, they might be city property, but we don't feel comfortable, the city doesn't feel comfortable promoting it as a way to get to the lake.
No, but if it is city property and if it's too steep or it's a drainage, it still should be marked, not as a public access, but to keep the neighbors on both sides, because most of these are residential, from encroaching on that drainage or coming in. It still should be defined because on Crystal Bay, there are 2 right-of-ways that go down from the Dakota Trail that are not currently accessible. They've been encroached upon. And one of the houses is for sale next to that. So, I don't know if there's just been an
I
assumption.
would also say to make sure, when you're looking at the maps, sometimes those lines are not accurate. Sometimes the lines, just because the way you're looking,
Well, we
it's just
gotta
the
be
way the
careful.
map is, because of it's just the way they overlay it. So when we are placing those, we have to find the markers, we have to try to set it perfect. So sometimes it's not 100% perfect. Like if you go and look at a map of 7 Nations, the house that's behind there, the whole pool looks like it's in 7 Nations, just because of the way the overlay of the park. That's obviously not accurate.
But that's,
Okay,
on
so-
Hennepin County, you can see the accurate.
It's
the
not.
accurate.
It's not.
Pretty darn close, though.
They're
Look
pretty
at
good.
7 Nations, you'll see the
Okay,
neighbor's
so
pool is in our
is there-
park. It's not.
Are there
Maybe it is.
any,
So it's gonna be a little.
are
most of
there
them are
any
pretty close.
city-owned property that is not a lake access point, but is marked as city property? Is there
Yeah.
such a thing now?
Trails.
But I'm talking about those that are now lake access points.
Yeah. There's one right
So-
by our house.
So
Smith Avenue.
so the city has marked some of those as city property, no trespassing.
Oh, not trespassing, it's a trail.
We have to. look
It's
at
a public.
But
You have to
I'm talking about like drainage, like unsafe drainage spots, like, is there
There's a
such a
right of
thing?
way, but no public.
A right of way where we don't want the public
Well,
there?
I don't think we're talking about that kind of, because there's a lot of places where houses, their property line isn't on the road, or it's not 4 feet in, it could be 20 or 30 feet in.
Yeah,
So-
I thought that so step back, the objective of this work that you guys are doing, I think, is to take the whole list of 41 lake access points that maybe are suitable for accessing
Right.
the lake. Maybe some are not suitable for it.
Right.
So the one objective is to remove some of that city-owned property that we don't want to be access points. And then
Remove the city property.
From the
remove
list.
them from a list. Don't
Oh,
designate
remove it
that
from the
as,
list. Well, they have to stay on some kind of list noted as city property.
it's still city-owned
They just
property.
say right of way.
And then make a decision about how to mark it.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, so that's the objective. So
And I agree with Mike, there are already decisions that made, like Orono Lane is one that.
So are you saying you want signs for no matter what, even if it's not usable?
Well,
Just say this is.
My
city property.
experience after being out at these several times is that if you don't have some kind of marker, it's just like if you own a home. They're gonna get encroached upon, and you're just gonna have the same issue over and over again.
We will have to, if we are going this route, because a lot of it is, it's kind of a benefit to have neighbors take care of some of those areas and mow the grass and keep them kind. So if we are discouraging them from doing that, that means we're gonna have to
How's
take
that
them.
handled with other city right of way? I know these is sensitive to lake properties, but what about other city right of way that properties, we all have city right of way that we probably
Right.
maintain, but does that need to have a sign marking that?
No, I don't think so.
I'm
I
trying to
think
figure
we're
how is that different than this situation?
because this is lake access,
Very
and
valuable.
we call ourselves the Lake Shore City, and we don't have any public beach except at Summit, and that's not on
Yeah,
Lake.
but-
Lily,
But I
we
think
got
the
3 of them.
scenario we're talking about is those that are not suitable for lake access.
What about them? I'm just saying,
Why-
they don't
why
need to
Sit on
have
a bench.
city, they don't need to have city, like say there's an access that's a ravine, there's one over on Saga Hill.
Yeah,
Where
right.
that, by the old sugar store across the street, you
Yep.
know? That ravine would never be an access because it's dangerous and it's steep. But that neighbor, the neighbor to the west or the north or whatever that is, they are constructing a driveway. You can see they're kind of encroaching. The reason that one stands out is my grandparents had a house there. We used to play in that ravine when we were kids.
Yeah.
And Mabel Berquist, and it's now named after her, that plat of land. They're encroaching. I don't think that it has to be assigned city property, but there should be some kind of marker that it would be easy for you or future park people or staff to go out and look and say, yeah,
That is,
We are all homeowners and we all know our property lines.
yeah.
we do have a
And
project.
so, we gotta be very careful, and I agree with Mike saying,
That is
we
more of a
all know our
zoning-
property lines.
Zoning, that's a zoning concern, if they're encroaching on.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing out
What we're
there.
doing right now is we are going out to like access points and hitting them with the GPS, so they're
Oh, good, yeah.
perfectly accurate on the markers. So there should be, property markers and all of them.
You mean like the buried ones?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about?
Yeah, the buried ones, yeah.
My only suggestion in marking, and it could be a little pipe or something, is that states that you're putting, a stake in the ground, literally saying, because if you guys go out to some of these, it's pretty egregious what's been done out there. I mean, and this is, I'm not talking about even maintaining them, there's storage in there, and I hate to talk about the negative side, I think the bigger thing we should be talking about is, look at this, there's access there.
Yeah.
You can ride a bike there, the neighbors can go down, and there's some cute little neighborhoods with some really modest houses, like West Point Lane. That, I think it's the lower one, which one, you live over there. There's,
Yeah, but
anyway,
it's all West Point.
that's a little modest houses, that's a big neighborhood, and there's a lake
So
access
this is
point.
a good thing to focus, the ones that we can, that have access and have value,
Yeah.
let's get them
Yeah.
marked and like
That's what we're trying
maintained.
to do.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that's a good place to, cause.
So what do you guys need from us as the commission for this project?
First of all, I think what Janie and I intended to do was just explain how complicated this is. And what she said earlier about every one of these needs to be looked at independently. And we need to come up with some, statements to that fact. Like this one right here, that's that orchard, U1, right? And that's encroachment right there. That pile of dirt is from the construction project next door. And the porta potty isn't for use for the access site, it's for the contractors in a mega house right next door. And as you go down there, the bench that's left, you can actually see a little tiny piece of it there. It's only about 18 inches wide and it's fallen over. So
You can't be giving that away though.
Huh?
You can't be giving that away.
The bench?
No, the property.
Oh, no. I don't know that. This is one that's flat and it's open.
It's a good one.
Yeah, no,
I think
this one, yeah.
So I marked them for my kids. I said, guys, these are all Orono, but there's only a few that are decent for Orono. We have this long list. We just need to be very careful. That, and I agree with you. You're probably right with what you're saying. But this is an opportunity for us as a Parks Commission to
Yeah,
make
and
some
to
improvements.
protect, based on our guiding principles, right, to protect open spaces. My
Because it gets
proposal-
forgotten, like Janie's spot gets forgotten.
Well, I just propose that we should probably categorize these as whatever, but we never wanna give them up, and we never wanna encourage encroachment, so we should have lake access points that are amenable for
Yeah,
people
that's
to get
what
to.
we're
And I think that it's gonna be a sticker, that there's gonna be right of way, I like what you're saying, Mike, where we don't wanna give it up, so
We
how
need
do
to,
we
yeah,
manage
we need to
that?
focus on the ones cause there's encroachment on them, and then, we can't get in, we're not bringing a lawsuit against someone who built into it 20 years ago. I don't think that's where we want to
But I'm
go.
afraid that 20 years ago, we're gonna keep doing that. We're
Yeah,
not
so that's
gonna-
why we wanna
Oh,
focus
yeah.
on ones we can.
exactly what we're at.
we
20
can-
years ago is not even
So we're
long
gonna have lake
ago.
access points that we wanna maintain to make it inviting for the neighbors to access, because it's good. But then we want these right-of-way ones to be protected from encroachment, which I think we don't know how to do that yet, but we have agreed, right?
And don't call them lake access
Right,
points.
right-of-way, I'm saying right-of-way, so like.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
No,
we
I
have to
don't know.
remove them from the park,
We need
the
to
lake
define.
access list.
I don't think you
Yeah.
should,
There's a lot of diplomacy that will have to happen.
yes.
And this is a
Understanding and
state project,
education.
So we have to take it to council, and make sure.
But
we know what we want to do.
surveyed
And
lines
I
are
think
surveyed
I'll
lines.
interject one more thing regarding the low-hanging fruit. There's been a request on this one in particular, this dates back to 2022 or before.
Sure.
To market because of the value that the neighbors see in walking down there with kiddos or whatnot. Some of the neighbors,
And
they pick up garbage, they do maintain it, they try to pick up garbage from the beach there. So this has been an active, I call it active, a years-long request. So to me, that's a consideration
Yeah.
for
The
this
thing I'm
one.
worried about is I had never got a request for it.
Oh, really?
Well, this is valuable property.
Well, it came from before.
Yeah. but-
From before, and
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
there's
that
part
was-
of it when somebody's maybe informally or brought it forward, and then, city business is city business, it doesn't happen, people tend to say maybe that it's not a priority. That's why I want to interject
Yeah, I
that
think
one more
this-
time.
I mean,
And Joe,
I think it's a
so
great
Janie,
spot.
it's gonna be hard to get through all 41 or whatever tonight, obviously. But I would like to just share real briefly, like Little Casco Beach. I think it's 60 feet, maybe 80 feet at most. But if you think of that point, you have the lake owners, but you do have a nice little neighborhood on the interior. And how valuable that is for those folks to just be able to, even if they just sit at the bench and watch. Because I took my kids there one time, it was too wavy, we couldn't swim. But it's an
that's
opportunity,
designated.
and then, so this also should probably already be that way, it's not, maybe someday it can be. That
That's
ravine might have been a place to play in, and when you buy your property, no matter how valuable and much money you spent for it, you still bought up to that property line. And so, council and others will be able to decide
I mean, we're
if
not
it
getting
is
rid of
literally
any of
not
this.
usable,
We're
but we
not
shouldn't
getting rid of
start with that precedent
No, no,
that it's
no,
not
no.
We're
usable.
not getting rid of
Yeah,
any of
no,
these
it's-
access points, we're not, right?
And I'm
Or
just
are you
saying, let's
talking
not
about a
start
different-
with it as a precedent that it's not useful. Well, it's not useful. Well,
And we weren't intending on getting into these individual
No, what I think,
spots.
I talked
tonight.
about, emailed with Janie, like, this is the first step, you guys
Yeah,
did
this
your
is
work, now
just
you guys
really
can
cool.
review it,
Well, you're showing how complicated it is.
Yeah, no,
it's very
it's great to
They're-
learn.
they're all
It's
complicated.
already making decisions.
And they're even more
Mike and I, to
complicated.
get to this phase,
Yeah.
has taken a lot of work and time on both of our parts.
There's some
Yeah.
lake access points or access points where residents have sued the city and there's been agreements and it's very complicated, it's.
So this is the first step of a project that needs a lot
When
more.
did you be
Oh,
done by 2020?
It's not,
I think but certainly by the end of the year we'll be done.
Yeah, next year. It's really, it's
it'll take
When you
a while.
say done, what do you mean?
sensitive. Well, I mean, I think whatever the council wants to decide to do, if they want them all marked, that would be only my recommendation. Somehow mark the ones that are not accessible, just so the neighbors know where
That's not their
the
property.
city property line is. There's a lot of them that are not accessible, but there's a lot that are so overgrown that it would take, a classic one is the one right when you come out of Orono Orchard Road on 1540 and the curve is there where the fire pole is. That, there is private property right there, but that used to be shore fisher people, whatever you call them. They're all the time, and it's so overgrown, you can't even get in there anymore.
So
And
this,
there's parking there, which is
yeah,
really.
so the output of this project will be coming up with categories for all these points that have water.
Right.
Categorizing them by type, and then telling us what needs to happen, and then getting the buy-in. So, when you have a whole, like you've done the baseline work now you gotta do what, like Mike said, you have started to do like 10, or I'm making this up, or just ditches. So like there are this one category, but there's the ones you wanna really work on, and that's what you're gonna do as a next step.
Well, we'll go through and do an inventory, and checklist.
And like,
and
no,
comment.
yeah, but and know each one, what you recommend.
Yeah, each one is gonna have to be
I think that's the
gone
right
into,
thing.
yeah. And
One
I-
other little piece is some of them aren't maybe that great in the summer, but I used to growing up in Deep Haven, access in the winter.
Yeah.
Because it's just easy to walk out on the lake when the lake's
Well, you'll
frozen
see
and
some
nothing
of
ice
them.
fish.
some of them are
That's what you're
only allow for water access, so.
Some
Alright,
are
so
that's good.
complicated.
Let me ask you a question. So you brought up Casco Beach, which was a lake access point.
Yeah.
Now it's actually a beach. Some of
That's
these
confusing to
actually could be designated beaches.
Yeah. You
What's the difference there? Like,
I
that's
was
one thing you guys
confused.
can
Like, what's the difference?
decide,
Were
like
you
the one
like-
that,
I think that's a
the
good
one that
idea.
what you just showed there, that could actually be a beach.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty
So
cool
you
as a
take up your
commission to add a
categories.
beach to our.
Well, I don't know, what is this numbering system too, Joe? Is that's been around for decades.
What do you mean the
No.
numbering system?
The way each access point has a number. and
Oh,
then
they
when-
start in one part of the lake and they work around
And
the
it's
shoreline.
just where
Right, but I mean, does the one,
there's no, it's just, that's how they
okay,
organize
because it
it.
was funny, they had number one and then they added 1A. And
They
it was-
found one after they.
Because one's gone now. One's already off the list.
I guess my bottom line is if it's accessible and it can be used for recreational, whether that's walking, gazing, whatever, riding your bike there and sitting, it should be developed, over a period of time. I know it's not gonna all happen at one time, but there's some really nice ones like this.
Another thing about this you have to remember is that it's not comfortable to walk down there.
No, right.
Because the neighbors view you as trespassing. And signing that isn't gonna change it. No
No.
matter when you walk down there, if they don't want you around, you're gonna get the dirty look.
I'll tell you, we've had
Well,
some
but
neighbors
it
take
is
them out,
defined.
taking out our poles.
I got approached about
But
parking.
that's not
on-
right.
It's not right, but
So don't
we're not the
sit here
police.
and kind of defend it like,
No, I'm not
well,
defending, I'm just
well,
saying
it
that's
comes
what
across that way,
happens.
like this
Well,
one
this
is.
is
I'm not
a
defending
sticky-
it, that's
A
extra
sticky
work from my
strategy that
staff.
aligns with our guiding
I'm just
principles
saying,
to protect our
I'm not the
land.
police, I can't.
I'm not asking you.
Yeah, well, it's just
Just
a
articulate.
So how harmonized access.
So the touching with this, yeah, it's got,
That's how we got.
Extra work and extra money.
I'm not going
My staff.
but that's, I can see what.
Okay, next,
Okay.
I think we're ready to go to the next topic here.
So when are you gonna bring this back?
Oh, probably not.
That's probably the next work session, I'd say we'll have an update.
Next work session.
Yeah, the next
Okay,
one.
so I'm glad we added this in 2026.
So it's definitely, okay, thank you for what you've done so far.
I just have a few like little updates and some things to think about. We should start thinking about dates for 2026 for our meeting.
I have,
We'll have to vote on it, so that's why it'll be, I brought it to think about.
So we have to vote in November.
Well, it's just your recommendation. Council will designate what they want, but
Do you want to start with
Yeah.
a proposed schedule?
This, yeah.
we could.
I just wanna get
Right.
National Night Out off, I'd like to move it off August. First Tuesday in August is National Night Out.
Yeah, we
That's
can't have
that's the
that.
only one I care about.
So
It doesn't line up with one of our principles. Bringing the community together and fostering peace.
Yeah, we should be out at National
Yeah,
Night.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Brian,
Should be there.
was it you on the park commission, or was it somebody else that's not on the park commission anymore that wanted the meetings changed from Mondays to Tuesdays? Had a conflict, because they always used to be on Mondays.
Was it me? My fault?
No, I don't know, I'm asking you, was
Oh.
it not your
Oh,
fault?
Joe?
that's
Or-
something that could be,
You
talked
have,
about
and that's
too.
something to think about, you guys, you wanna have the meeting, historically, it's always been on Mondays, and somehow it got switched to Tuesdays.
I'm fine with Tuesday, just the one Tuesday.
I don't have a preference, I just need to know when it's gonna be.
So what do we do? Do you propose dates? Do we have to talk about every date now?
He's gonna propose the calendar rates.
Now we do that.
yeah, so do we want to keep our four regular meetings, 3 work
I'd like to have
sessions?
more.
Okay. Are we sure?
Once a month, except
One
for
to meet
December.
once a month is way too many.
Don't we already?
I think we kinda have that right now.
We kind of, yeah, that would mean no work sessions. You know, work sessions.
Well, they can be before the meeting, just like the council.
So you wanna have a formal meeting every month, or at least 10 months out of the year?
So
And not stagger work session so you want every month to have a work session followed by a formal meeting?
what would we be
Is that what they're
discussing
proposing?
in these meetings?
What, Joe?
What would be the topics?
Well, just all this work.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
But I would propose it's a work session or a park commission every month. I don't think we need a park commission every month. Just get together and like work on this stuff together.
Yeah, I agree. That's what we want to
Yeah,
do.
but once a month, not 4 times a year.
It's actually once a
No,
month.
we have it once a month, except for
December
December and July.
So we're
so we have
together
10
every
meet-
month except for December.
Yeah, I think that's
10
enough.
meetings.
That's enough.
And I mean,
This
and
destroys,
if you think about
You guys-
subcommittees, we're meeting, our subcommittees, the subcommittees are meeting in addition to that. So
Right.
there are, we are meeting more than,
We are.
But we're not communicating, but there's not a time to get together and exchange everything that we've done. You know, if we're gonna incorporate all this the new processes.
Well,
So
when-
meetings are not the time to, because it's not a great time to discuss. I think work sessions are a good time for moving on to discuss.
But I think that's
I
a
think
good
what-
point, and then at the end of the park commission, we all do our, like, commissioner reflection at the end. I think we should be better at doing that, so we're staying together, because I think we're such a new team that we still need to build trust in, like, a good bench of us as a commission and doing the subcommittee. So if we're meeting 10 times a year, I would propose that both for commissions and for working sessions and actual meetings, we prioritize a round robin, like at the end of the year, so that we can capture those things. which I think.
And then I think in addition to that, we should go away, either walk away or be notified the following week by the park chair probably about what we're working on till the next meeting. So we have something to focus on. You
That
know,
could be
like
a
what did you come away with and what,
Well, most of the work is the subcommittee work, which
you
I'm
know,
not on all the subcommittees, so I don't know what you guys are doing.
well, that's
You
what
guys
I
drive it.
find confusing, is there's a lot of subcommittees, and then it comes to a meeting, and not all the rest of the commissioners have had really the time to dive in and.
Yeah, that's what the meeting, so it's like any kind of work, you're working in small groups, bring it to the big group to look at it, and we'll discuss, then at the next meeting, adopt it, or,
Well, that's sort of, yeah, how we go on, that's the process we use for the, guiding principles.
Yeah, and like Antoine is another good example. So we had a listening session or whatever. We started on the project and engaging with Bolton and Mink. We gave an update at the last meeting, and now staff. I don't know what the next step is for us, but we're gonna keep moving.
Did they want that? Cause when I was
Yes.
out at an access point,
Yes.
I ran into two women that lived there, and they said,
we had
I don't know why they.
a great response at Antoine, and you could have read all the comments,
Well,
That
I
was
didn't
in-
read the
it
comments.
was in our meeting, and
Yeah. So
but it was
In
great, they were
minutes.
really, really positive and really
Okay.
excited about it.
Well,
yeah,
it was
but
funny.
I was just bringing it up as an example of how we're working with staff on a subcommittee level, and then we can give you updates every meeting. I can give you an update
We're
right
just
now.
worried
on
about
that.
something's happening.
And if we
Yeah.
need to do a special
But
meeting, we can,
yeah,
And we did that, all right, yeah.
that's always something.
so as far as the calendar, I was going to say also, we're designating nights for our meetings, and we have in the past had the flexibility to convert a work session to a formal meeting, or a formal meeting to a work session, or add a work session in front of the formal meeting, which is what we did last month. And so the first step is just, let's designate what days we're going to be meeting, and then we have some flexibility to work within it if we need to.
So is that, just asking, because this is my first cycle, Joe would send out a proposal for us to give you feedback on, like park commission and work session park, and then that would be a line on that, which I guess would be November. Then that's gotta go to the council for blessing, so we
Yep.
should have it.
Yeah, because council needs all of them from,
So if you can send that out before our November meeting.
Yeah,
hopefully
and
we
so
just
then,
vote on it and just say.
yeah, and you have to remember the planning commission meets in here, and everyone. So
And that's what
it's
Joe
as
was-
much
That's why we
as
have to-
yeah. That's why Joe has to start it. So
No, I've heard that.
yeah, so, and then, I know some people were asking about Hackberry, were you able to access the thing on the computer?
Yeah, you mean the grant application?
So besides that, nothing has happened, there's been nothing.
the application's in.
Yeah.
I do have one question.
Sure.
When I looked at the application and you list the costs were listed in there, they've got bleachers and fences, and they said nobody wanted any of that kind of stuff.
I think that was just in there as like a possibility, that's not our plan. We talked to the baseball group, they don't want bleachers, they do want benches. They're actually kind of want a very specific bench, we'll see if we do that, but they kind of suggested for that, they don't want bleachers. I think that was just,
It's pretty modest stuff that the baseball group is asking for, and that's kind of probably the most, hard items.
yeah,
But
so
it's limited fencing
we
to
have.
protect the kids that are sitting on the bench from.
Yeah, and they even said at that level, they don't even need fencing.
Well, I have to ask this, they gotta have a fence in front of the kids.
Behind them, between the.
Yeah, between so they don't get hit.
One's on the
But
bench.
that's actually not even
But
the case right now.
It seemed like a lot of money for some of those items that had already been taken off the.
Well, for the grant, the only thing that's being considered is the construction of the field. So,
So one more question.
Yeah.
So the letters of support from soccer and lacrosse that haven't played there since 2022, how that, if they do play there, that is gonna increase the usage of that field like every day of the week. Is that the intention? Because that was already discussed at.
I think we went over this. This will get to the usage part. We don't want to design a field we want it to be able to be used for different things. Let's say 10 years from now, baseball, kids don't play baseball anymore. But now we have 2 abandoned baseball fields and an unplayable field for something else. If right now the way it's looking, yes, the 2 baseball fields are there and there's just an open field. Does that have to be lined for soccer? No. Does it have to be lined for football? No. Do we have to let them play on those fields? No. That will be like once we get into the usage part of it. But we don't want to just create a park for what is required right now. Like if we would have done this 10 years ago, we would have been like, baseball only uses 1 field, we don't need a second field. But we didn't know that they didn't use that because it wasn't safe, it was on the road, drainage was bad, there was a lot of reasons, but just looking anecdotally, we would say they don't use it. So that really is just getting a playable surface. Doesn't mean.
But what's the
You have to play.
expectations of those people that wrote those letters of support?
Well, they would of course love to play on the field,
So how do you meter the busyness of that park? So
just
it's not
like
a
any
sports
park,
complex?
like any
Like sign up, right?
exactly.
So,
So
and how are
if
people
we
signing up for the park?
well, baseball is the one who doesn't do it, but we've talked to them and they're for next season they're submitting their full
So the
schedule.
key to manage the capacity of the utility field is to sign up.
And this will be, we'll have input into this. We'll have input to say, we don't want 7 nights a week there'll be an activity there.
Okay,
That's
well,
too
that's
much
the
for
first time anybody said that, because promoting all 4 of those sports, they play the same seasons, so
There is some, and the baseball group basically told us that they have a really good relationship right now with soccer. There's some kind of give and take, that they're willing to work things out. They do understand they kind of are at the same time. The thing is, what we don't want to get involved in is, who do we get to say, sorry soccer, you're not as important as baseball, or sorry lacrosse, you're not, you don't get access just because baseball is here right now. But we will have input. This will be part of our, to see the input or the impact on the neighborhood. If it's, we don't want to we'll never schedule 2 baseball games and a soccer game at the same time.
Is the,
Something like that.
is the registration thing back up and being utilized online, on the website then?
For the fields? to
Yeah. They are on there, the calendar's up and they're marked off. Cause
So
it hadn't been for,
Hackberry, Peterwood's been, the soccer groups have been signing up. And
It seems like the signage can be critical at Hackberry because of the all utility version of that field is going to invite more sports.
Well, it's also, we are the ones who are going to be setting that up. So if we're lining the fields, we're creating an atmosphere for that. It's just more getting them, I think the way it's always been done is baseball uses it and they don't sign up. And they're kind of used to that, but
It's
talking
another
to them.
field that I think is the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, right now, flag football is out there, they're playing there.
Okay, thank you.
Lacrosse, what they want to use it for would just be like small practices, so it's not games or anything from what they've talked about. Soccer,
Well, I'm not so much worried about who plays there, or
Just,
what's
just
played
how
there.
many,
It's the impact on the
Yeah.
neighborhood, and now they took, they haven't put the no parking signs up yet.
they're coming.
Oh, okay.
So that's just on the other side, and that's part of, the planning to get those pavers, so there's a little more parking on the front side, which should help. But, stepwise, as soon as we get some stuff back from Bolton Lake, we'll have another subcommittee to look at it, so.
Can Adam update that design calendar so we're included?
Those are the meetings, like
The design meetings, the council requested that
Yeah.
Jacob and I be included in those meetings, and you, Gordy, if you.
But you guys were included in all the meetings already.
Yeah.
We haven't had any meetings
The
without
60,
This is
no,
for
I
the
know,
69.
Yeah, you'll be in those.
but on the calendar, it just says staff and.
You'll be part of that. We can get staff and subcommittee commissioners.
Just making sure.
Yeah, you'll be there, I promise. You think we can stop you from being there?
No, I doubt it.
No, we want, you guys are like, you're part of this from the beginning. This is your project now, as well as ours, right? So that's really where it's at. There's really nothing too much more since that. The other thing I have is park placement. So we got the park signs in. I haven't got the poles yet, so we're waiting on those.
The polls?
Yeah, the poles at the signs, yeah, so we just really have the signs. So, I just wanted to bring this up, it's something to think about, how we want to break this up, if we want, to have another subcommittee, if we want to just have the people whose parks those are, think about it.
Why can't we just put them where the old signs are? Is that,
Well, some are not.
I would say that's what my staff would just do on their own, but I've heard some
So for
people that some of them don't
example,
look as well as they do.
Peterwood sign is on Stubbs Bay Road. And so when you drive into the Peterwood parking lot, there's no signage.
Should be in the parking lot.
It should, it maybe should
like
be,
angled toward the park?
yeah.
Okay, so I see what you're saying, so,
A lot of them will probably be in the same spot, but just
Yeah.
something to think about if there is a change. I want your input.
I think, yeah, for all of these parks, there's a sign commission.
If you have
So
like a-
I think that you should reach out when you are ready to go through those and ask if we want to be involved in designating where the sign is. And if not, then
keep in
then
mind,
we'll defer to you. The other thing besides placement is the height of the sign, because that was a mess up at Summit when they put a huge sign up. It looks so silly.
Giant.
well, aren't these the same height as the old ones, or?
it's just up. They're the same. They're a little taller. I think they can be, that we can.
The
also
sign
put
is,
down.
but the posts can be cut down or sized wherever it's appropriate, you know?
And then also keep in mind if we want to do any landscaping and keep that's for sign placement, like some of the neighbors have.
So at Casco Skating Rink, do you think that's gonna continue to be a skating rink?
Yeah, we had a lot of use of it last winter when it was cold enough.
Yeah.
So we can't decide about weather, but yeah, our plans are that's their only ice skating rink in the city. Kids do use it, so as of right now,
Okay, so my ask would be, if it's your park that you want, or you have a community park, one of the things with the Monarch pledge is to put pollinator gardens around most of the signs, so as you think about your park sign location,
a good spot.
make sure you're being open to say, well, I'm gonna put a pollinator, not right away, it's gonna take a long time, but like if that location can be optimized for them.
Well, it doesn't have to be a big circle, it could just be around the post.
It's just like where the sign is though, like you want it, like,
That's
so
all.
maybe it's nothing.
Light.
Yeah, or just know that
There's
that part
room.
has coming, if it has, makes you think differently.
So if you're asking why the question would be about the sign.
The pollinator gardens, well, that was just one of the Monarch, we're gonna do one out here in front of City Hall. Like at Casco Beach, there's.
I don't know very much about pollinators.
It decorates the sign, you know,
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, it's just.
I would just,
Is there a better place to park
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pond than
That's-
than the sign?
Well, there'll be other places in the parks, but we can reduce the signs so it's better. It's not the only one. Good question.
and I'll just give a quick update on golf, because I know Gordy and Molly were talking about it right now. The golf course is very close to having their best year ever. Like, 10 to 20, so I think if the weather stays as well as it has been, we'll probably be able to beat the best year ever, so we're doing a great job out there, keeping it going. We are down staff-wise just because of seasonals are gone, same with
If you had to point to any particular reasons as to why, I know Kim's doing a great job with all the leaves.
I think the weather, so we haven't had really any days where we haven't been able to use carts, so that's been helpful. And with the other courses being under construction, we've got a lot of
Why is that over preloads?
Yes, we've got a lot of people who are like, oh, I've never played here before. And check it out. And we got a nice article.
The lake is not going to be in this feature.
Yeah, so I think we've had some people out there. There's definitely some plans for improvement. One of the things in the capital for the golf course is irrigation, but since it's now on its own, kind of, the golf course is separate, we have to save up a little money before we can tackle it.
Part of that, I think, is, I think it's really important, this sort of master plan update, is to kind of outline all the capital needs there and try to prioritize those, which would be irrigation, drainage, the clubhouse themselves, getting an honest assessment of what needs to be done there. And sort of, there's a lot of things, I think, before we just kind of fire off, like, irrigation, where does that fall?
Sounds like a great long-term plan.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But and then also on the playability of the course itself, you know, like
T-boxes.
tee boxes and green expansions, all these things that are just superintendents over the years have just decided what they ever wanted to do.
No,
Greg's done a little work on some tee boxes.
But I think there should be a guiding document that says, an architect says, here's where is the best place to put the tee box, not a superintendent.
And that's, we do have, so there was in the CIP last year to have some come out for irrigation. So we're getting that.
Yeah, it's good, we get those numbers, but I think we should be,
It'll be a plan.
it's kind of a step back, let's look ahead, and I think get an architect to do an actual plan for the course, and that'll guide where the irrigation should go.
Yeah,
If
that's-
you're green, you wouldn't want to put irrigation down if we were renewing.
That's why we're hiring. We are hiring.
so do we have funds in 2026 for something to that effect, an architectural?
Question.
We don't. We have this year, we have money for them to do the irrigation planning. That's our
That's, I don't know how that ever got in that way, because I feel like that's backwards, like we should have the master plan first before we spend money on irrigation planning. I mean, there's, yeah, I don't know, maybe we should.
Maybe look at all those items, those big ticket items, list them with an estimate, and then.
With irrigations, we're looking at.
Yeah, this is something we've been asking for years.
I remember when there was no irrigation at that course. There was sprinkler.
So Joe, what do we have for next year, what do we have for next year for, master planning, with irrigation otherwise?
There's nothing right now on the golf course.
First in CIP,
But there's,
No,
you
what
showed
is
us that
it?
There
budget
is a-
every 10, because you got money over the next 10 years for different golf.
and what would it take, what would it take to get money into the CIP for golf master plan update next year?
For next year?
Yeah.
I could look into getting that added.
Okay.
We are, like I said,
For what
doing,
are you thinking?
just do a master plan.
For what, anything specific?
No, the
Overall.
overall
The plan
update
itself.
master
Like with
plan,
the-
when it's updated from like 2017.
You're talking about redesigning the course or just holes or?
I'll tell you what, giving an architect, looking out long-term, having an architect look at the playability of the course, where should, if, you know, would it be good to expand some of the greens? The greens are tiny. Should we expand the greens? There's areas where they just naturally shrink over time. Where should 4 tee boxes go? Do we want to have 2 tee boxes on number 3 or just the one? Just more of
It's
a
basically the long-term planning.
long-term planning, and that will also take, now, starting with that, now you can figure out where irrigation, drainage, those kind of systems
Yeah, because if
should
you're
be
gonna do
designed,
that, you
right?
don't wanna do any of the other.
Yep, and then on top of that, we have, the clubhouse and probably some thoughts we put in that, but this also should involve surveys and input from everybody, neighbors, golfers, and everyone who uses the place. And then also thinking about what your activities, coming up with kind of a long-term vision for that place. Aside from just tow ropes and environments. I'm thinking more about the golf itself.
Right.
Do you have an expert in mind?
Sure,
Do
yeah.
you have a budget in mind?
I mean, I don't know what that would cost. I mean, you should probably get a couple of opinions, get some bids, but I think we could probably get that done for 15 grand, 20 grand.
So that's what the ask is. 15 grand.
What about where they, Joe, where they cut all that buckthorn down and now it's back with a vengeance? Did anybody ever treat that or?
Treated it, the problem is, we can't treat it to the wetland, so it's gonna come back.
But I mean, all around, I mean, it's all around the whole course where they cut. And so,
It was treated.
did what you, yeah, okay.
We'll keep trying to treat it.
West side, you mean?
Yeah, it was treated. It's just, unless we can get back in there and, get all the buckthorns. So we'll keep trying, and then we gotta, have a plan to do some other plannings, because that will also plantings to get it, force it out, so it doesn't just
Something
come back
to
in.
take over, is gonna be stronger, yeah. Okay, so how
Get some hopes up.
do we get the funds into the
Into the what?
CIP?
For the golf course?
Oh.
Yeah, I could add into that.
See, doesn't it kind of run on its own budget? I mean, they're
Yes.
a profit
So that's
center.
the really the thing with the golf course. So like we can't say, oh, we're not gonna work on this part. We can focus on the golf course. Kind of has to generate money to do these projects.
More visibility. I know over the last 3 years, we've been making money in this now the enterprise fund, like, is the money just accruing, is it just sitting in an account earning interest? I don't know how that works, but in theory, we've been making money, setting that aside to reinvest in the course.
Yeah, and that's
I don't know what.
yeah that can't be used for anything else. So it's there. So we can.
How much did they profit? You don't have the expenses in
Wasn't they making like 20 grand, 20, 30 grand a year plus 2 3 years?
I think last year was closer to 50.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
So we should be
Spend the money, everybody
thinking
does.
about those things and like where they're gonna get reinvested. I don't know.
That's perfect thing for the plan.
I'm sure
That's
on the CIP, you can use that for master planning.
I'd like to
This is
see
the-
some of those aesthetics fixed over there, like that big pile of dirt with the.
There is a plan. There is a plan for that to get moved, but we only have so much staff and so much time. Right now,
So, you
there's
know, and
really
the other thing I'd like to say is don't forget that, I can't speak for everybody, but historically, I'm up for getting some boots on the ground, you know, if there's a little project to do at the golf course or one of the other parks, like, get my hands on those apple trees at the golf course. Trim them, you know, that kind of thing.
And Greg, he worked in an apple orchard, so he's good with apple trees.
Okay, well, they haven't been trimmed for years, since they were planted.
Yeah, he said
But that's what I'm saying,
experience,
and volunteer.
they shouldn't be trimmed yet. So.
No, not
And I
yet.
think that's a good opportunity to adopt a park. And then you also have a little bit of a
Maybe I
connection
should
too,
adopt that.
you know.
Just real quick before we get off of the golf course, this is the first time tonight I've heard that, I know that it has its own enterprise fund, but it's the first time I've heard that the city is planning on not supplementing the enterprise fund for the golf course.
Well, when it was an enterprise before, Brian, they left it on its own.
I mean, if something happens and it needs to be funded, the city's responsible.
I mean, because we're getting the big numbers in irrigation system and that kind of stuff. It's gonna take forever for the course to generate enough capital.
Yeah, for sure.
To be able to
This
do
goes
that.
to a bigger question, and how to have private know,
Right.
it's like,
I mean, I get if it's trying to sustain its own operations, but as far as capital
that's
projects.
a much bigger thing. You can chip away at equipment, small things, but yeah, these are
Right.
talking
So is
$1
that,
million type.
did I hear that right? Is this a new direction?
I thought that's how it became a prize fund. It's.
No. Oh, no, not necessarily. Not for the big capital, not for the CIP. So I just wanted to get some clarity on what you were saying.
I've always
Because that
thought it
was,
was enterprise
that was
was
new.
like a start. It's good to know that it's there, but it's not going to get the job done. But if we need to like seed private investment with, 50-50 or a nice contribution towards that,
Right.
that's what
Which makes this long-term plan critical, because
Yeah.
then you're
Yeah.
commercially.
We need to
But I'm,
know,
like the ask is this 20 grand for next year for planning. I don't think that necessarily has to come out of the enterprise fund.
Where are you proposing it to come
Out of parks. I'm not telling
I do know they've already
telling
cut
you
my budget
anything.
this year.
I'm
For
not
next
telling
year.
you anything, I'm
I'm
just
just
more of a question than a.
no, this is a
comment,
big
because it's just-
philosophical question of like, how much should the city be subsidizing the golf course?
Yeah, it's
And
different than what I've heard in the past, so that's why I asked.
Well, and maybe the golf course continues to do well, and maybe that's, as a municipal golf course, it's fine to just keep it going, not worry about the big capital investments that are just, make it pretty, and people are cleaning out in the golf.
Well, irrigation's more than just making it pretty. And it's just like your car. Sooner or later, it costs more to fix it than it is to buy a new one.
That,
It goes to taking
You know.
care of what we have.
right.
I think that golf course is a treasure, and it is in need of some tender loving care.
Oh, it's come so far, so.
No, I know,
It's
but,
gorgeous out there,
I think it's just
the playability of that course.
practical investments in the capital asset that you should just be doing, no matter what. And
Thanks.
we've been neglecting it for many, many years.
Right.
This happens always at Woodhill. They didn't spend a penny and then all of a sudden the bill comes due, one way or another, you're gonna have to pay for it. The new irrigation system, that was more like being thoughtful about when that's coming, with the life cycle. We all have life cycles, all these.
Women are adding principles to life for you.
Yeah, so like, we should be
Looking at.
saving up a lot as we go, knowing that bill's coming due at some point, and be, just proactive on it. Same with the clubhouse, I mean, that thing is, they discuss this, we need how much are we spending every year just to fix things, I don't know. That's a much bigger conversation.
We're not spending a lot of fixing it.
So what's the end of this conversation?
I think we should be, so I don't know if it's coming from enterprise or from the CIP, but I think the master planning effort is the place to start with all
With the
this.
third party help.
What about,
Is this a
With
question
an
of council
architect.
on where funding?
well,
So you would propose.
I think that it's something for Joe to figure out.
Okay.
The other
Council
question
will
is,
approve.
is a food truck for next year, is that off the table, or is that something that? Question
I've
for all
always
of us
loved the
too.
idea, but it's never happened.
I would say there's no support from council for the food truck.
Okay.
Right.
I'd rather focus energy on.
I've always thought the food truck was a way to just keep the customers more engaged.
Yep.
And if they're not asking for it, if people feel like that's, I mean, it was expensive
It was like $5,000.
for a season, right?
Plus that. There's some stuff.
Yeah.
I would say right
Just
now
to be
that's-
clear, we're not talking about purchasing
Yeah, the rental of
It's
it.
just
it
renting.
still needs some
Renting.
to work at it, and there needs to be some electrical upgrades. But I would say
Too
there's,
much for staff, I think like, we gotta
Maybe
get
fine.
going, like, let's just keep.
yeah, I would just,
Have
for
to not
my
work.
interaction with council, that's not a high priority for them to Kim's always pushing it, so.
We should be listening, she's doing a great job, and if she has things like that, that I think she feels would help her, I mean, we
I'd love
should
to talk to Tim. I think that would be a good thing. And,
be. Maybe next
Just
time.
don't put down the golf course about the enemy of the light.
no, I'm learning lessons every day. And that's one that I've learned.
The other one is how to pronounce it.
Yeah, you do it, and Elisa.
Look at, really know what you're talking about.
All right, I think that.
Just so I know, what is the, reluctance from council on the food truck?
I don't know what they're, just when it's been brought up in kind of conversations, it's.
So maybe because they brought it up
If
on
it's a
time.
cost
Steve
thing,
is probably the only one.
well, if you can know, is it a cost thing, is it a, I don't know what, is it too noisy or loud or what?
I wouldn't want to speak for them, it's just, that's been my interaction with them is it's not.
Well, I guess it's a distraction of staff. We've got a very long list of tasks that need to be done, that need tending
Yeah,
to.
but I'm curious, because I heard you said Kim's all for it, so then.
Yeah, I don't understand, when you rent a food truck, aren't you renting, don't they show up with staff, don't they?
No, this
was-
rental is, we would be doing all the cooking, we
Yeah.
would be in charge. If you want to
You're not
rent,
bringing
if you're bringing a food truck in, it's so
No, it's not that,
expensive.
this was the trailer.
Yeah.
Where Kim's
Renting the actual trailer.
and then she would be in there.
Okay.
Putting out the
Bringing a
rollers.
food
No, I
truck in is
understand,
probably like $1,000 a day.
Food truck map that work.
Yeah, because they need to guarantee how much money.
Yeah.
It would have to be.
Got it. Okay, now I understand.
Makes sense.
And this was, and then there was like the bigger thought like, well, this food truck can be used elsewhere.
Yeah. For like school events
School
or.
or something, you know, access to it.
Yes.
You gotta have people licensed to handle
No,
food.
We can
Yeah,
start
that
with the ice
would be
cream
the-
truck, the Orono ice cream truck.
Well, I don't know.
I don't like that.
Food trucks
Yeah.
that you had come in, they weren't so successful though. And I don't think people hang out there to eat. They're not gonna hang out at golf course. My kids golf there, literally, and they will not have a season pass, like 6 days a week. And so, you know, they're pretty tuned in, but when they're done, they wanna go, they'll go to Rooster, or they'll go into
It's not available.
Mhm.
It's not available.
They still wouldn't hang out there.
Every
Okay, I
golf
propose
course.
we move this to the subcommittee to talk further. You got a lot of different opinions, and if you put it in the grand plan, it will be best presented.
All right, I think that's the agenda, right? We're through the agenda? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank
Make
you.
sure 4 hours.
Yeah, we'll be back here at 6 a.m.
That's because we don't need them.